Chapter 1921. A Chaotic Void Realm Soul. Muron, you could feel the difference between a chaotic void realm soul and a peak rebirth realm soul. It was at least 10,000 times. Originally, Muron, you had the fighting power to cross a realm. Peak chaotic void realm was enough to fight against a high-level bright world realm ancestor. This trip to the Burning Flame ancestor's training ground had made his physical body stronger. His soul had also advanced from the Sector Lord realm to the chaotic void realm. At this moment, Muron was confident that he could kill the 6 half-step to creation realm ancestors from Sky Sea and Sky Martial World. It had only taken Muron a few years to grow from an ant to an ancestor who was comparable to a half-step into the creation realm. At this moment, Muron's confidence had skyrocketed. He could not wait to return to Sky Martial World and kill the 6 half-step to creation realm ancestors. Back then, the 6 old men had almost killed him. However, as Muron's strength increased, he could clearly sense the teleportation point that he had left in Sky Martial World. However, it was still not enough to teleport. Now that the Star Core was about to be born, Muron would not leave at this time no matter what. However, although his strength had skyrocketed, it was still a little difficult for him to fight against a true creation realm expert. Moreover, there might be a supreme existence that surpassed the creation realm by then. There is no more heaven and earth yuan qi. The entire world is filled with an extremely dense death qi. I'm afraid this 4 yuan star is going to be completely destroyed. Muron left the Burning Flame training ground with a thought. However, when he appeared outside and saw the death qi that filled the world, he was shocked. There's no time to lose. I have to leave 4 yuan star first. Muron thought to himself. He had already moved and flew toward the starry sky. During this process, he took out the Sun Sect's jade slip to take a look. Seeing this, a smile immediately appeared on his face. Including him, the number of people still in the jade slip was exactly 10,000. No more, no less. It was just right. In other words, even if he left 4 Yuan planet, he would still be considered an official disciple of the Sun Sect, because the Solar Sect had already recorded all his information, including his name, in the top 10,000. Whoosh! At this moment, a huge hand appeared out of nowhere and grabbed at Muron from all directions. Muron was slightly startled. Just as he was about to react, a loud voice rang in his ears. You don't need to panic. I am an elder of the Sun Sect. I will pull you out now. An expert from the Solar Sect. Muron relaxed and gave up resisting. Then, he was grabbed by the large hand and quickly left 4 Origin Planet, which was on the verge of death. During this process, Muron once again carefully checked his hidden realm. After finding that there were no flaws, he was relieved. His soul realm had been suppressed to below the realm of a Sector Lord, and his cultivation base was still at the 5th level of the Chaos Realm. As for his physical body, Muron did not suppress it, as it was not easy to hide. Moreover, others would not be able to tell what realm his physical body had reached. They would only be able to tell when he attacked. When Muron's feet touched the ground again, he was already far away from 4 Origin Planet. He appeared on an uninhabited planet far away. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At the same time that Muron appeared, quite a few people were grabbed by the Sun Sect's almighties. In just a short while, 10,000 people had gathered. Muron's face revealed a look of surprise. This was because he saw that the 6 heavenly kings of Tianwu World and the top 8 of District 4 were all there. Including himself, there were 15 people from Tianwu World who had become disciples of the Sun Sect. A 15% chance. With such a high chance, it was probably one of the best among all the planets. However, other than them, none of the Dark Horses and the 36 Tianwu Signs appeared here. It was unknown whether they had all died on 4 Origin Planet or had lost their qualifications. However, this had nothing to do with Muron. When Muron saw the Sea Heavenly King and the others, the Sea Heavenly King and the others also sensed it and looked over. The top 8 of District 4 were fine. They smiled and nodded at Muron. However, the 6 Heavenly Kings did not look good, especially the Sea Heavenly King. He looked at Muron with resentment, as if he wanted to slap Muron to death. In response, Morong chose to ignore them. In his eyes, he had never seen the Sea Heavenly King and the others as competitors. At most, they were just stepping stones for him. Especially now, he could crush the Dead Sea Heavenly King and the others with a finger. They had completely lost the qualifications to be Morong-Yu's opponents. Very good. You have successfully persevered. No matter how you persevered, perseverance is victory. From now on, you are official disciples of the Sun Sect. A middle-aged man appeared in front of Morong-Yu and the others out of thin air and said after glancing at them. Hearing that, the disciples could not help but let out a sigh of relief. They had persevered until now and finally made it. From now on, they were like fish that had made a great leap. For the rest of the time, you are free to move around this planet. However, remember one thing. You must not leave this planet. Otherwise, you will be expelled from the Sun Sect. The middle-aged man's voice suddenly turned cold. Then, he disappeared in a flash. What the hell? Shouldn't we be returning to the Sun Sect now? A disciple complained. After the dangerous adventure on Foryuan planet, they were already mentally and physically exhausted. Now, all they wanted was to sleep peacefully. Morong-Yu was originally worried that the Sun Sect's experts would not take them away quickly. He was overjoyed when he heard that. As long as he did not leave immediately, he still had a chance to snatch the star core that was about to be born. Just as he was about to leave, Ocean Heavenly King and the others appeared in front of him and blocked his way. Morong-Yu, I'm glad you persevered, because your life is mine. One day, I will end you with my own hands. Ocean Heavenly King said to Morong-Yu with a venomous look. Morong-Yu indifferently glanced at the other party, then left. Loser. Ocean Heavenly King's face was livid. Losing to Morong-Yu was the greatest shame of his life. However, he did not make a move. Although the Sun Sect did not say that they were fighting privately, he did not dare to make a move now that the situation was unclear. Otherwise, it would be a tragedy if he was expelled from the Sun Sect. Rumble. At this moment, an earth-shattering sound came from the distant starry sky. After the sound, a terrifying shockwave swept over. Bang! 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 10,000 people did not even have time to react before they were blown away by the shockwave. One by one, they screamed and fell to the ground in the distance. Is that planet completely dead? Morong-Yu was not blown away by the shockwave. After all, this planet was a distance away from Foryuan planet. The shockwave was not strong enough to reach here. Otherwise, Ocean Heavenly King and the others would have been killed immediately. Looking in the direction of the sound, Morong-Yu saw a dazzling light burst out in the distant starry sky. The huge Foryuan planet that was hanging in the endless starry sky had disappeared. Even the huge planets around Foryuan planet had disappeared without a trace. These planets were probably destroyed by the shockwave from the explosion of Foryuan planet. Boom! At this moment, another earth-shattering sound was heard. The terrifying sound broke everyone's eardrums, and they were bleeding from their 7 orifices. Looking from afar, countless powerful hands were crisscrossing in the void and bombarding each other. There was an earth-shattering battle between experts. What's going on? Many people who did not know what was going on were shocked. All of them looked at the battle in the distance in horror. Although they were not sure how far away they were, the terrifying aura from the huge hands still made their souls tremble. Is that an attack from an expert in the creation realm? While everyone was shocked, they could not help but be excited. They are fighting for the Star Core. Morong-Yu's heart skipped a beat. He immediately disappeared from where he was. At this moment, everyone's attention was attracted by the battle in the distance. No one noticed that Morong-Yu had suddenly disappeared. Morong-Yu hid his body and took out Hichu Luoshu to transform into an armor on his body. At the same time, he dashed into the endless starry sky and flew toward the battle in front of him. Rumble, terrifying forces, and loud noises kept coming, and the impact of the impact caused the surrounding planets to explode and shatter. Even the void in the starry sky was shattered. That was the terrifying power of an expert in the creation realm. However, how many people were fighting and who were they? Morong, you did not know. With his current strength, he could not get close to the battle at all. He could not even extend his divine thought. Before his divine thought could get close, it was shattered by the aftermath of the terrifying power. Morong, you could not help but smile self-deprecatingly. He originally thought that with his current strength, he was able to get a share of the loot. However, he was not even qualified to participate. He was too confident. Too much confidence was arrogance. However, even so, Morong Yu did not leave immediately. Instead, he watched the battle in front of him from a safe distance. Who knew if both sides would suffer in the end? When the sandpiper and the clam fought, the fisherman would benefit. Morong Yu wanted to be the fisherman. I wonder if there are any supreme existences who have surpassed the creation realm who are fighting for the Star Core? Or are they like me, hiding in the distance and watching the battle in front of them? They only appear at the last moment, snatch the Star Core, and leave quickly? Morong Yu pondered as he watched the battle in front of him. What's that? Morong Yu's pupils suddenly shrank. He saw a black stream of light coming from the direction of the battle in the distance, with a terrifying aura that could destroy heaven and earth. Chapter 1922. Morong Yu immediately felt an incomparably strong sense of danger in his heart. Could it be that some powerhouse found out that I'm hiding? Morong Yu's heart skipped a beat, and he was about to rush into Hichu Luo Shu to escape. Although he was powerful, he knew that he was no match for a Destiny powerhouse. Therefore, he could only run away if he was discovered by a Destiny powerhouse. That's not right. Although the stream of light contains a terrifying aura that can destroy heaven and earth, it doesn't seem to be an attack from a powerhouse. It doesn't seem to be targeting me either. Could it be a Star Core? Just as he was about to enter Hichu Luo Shu, Morong Yu suddenly had this absurd thought. It was precisely because of this absurd idea that Morong Yu stopped trying to enter the Hitu and Luo Shu. For a long time after that, Morong Yu felt lucky that he did not enter Hichu Luo Shu immediately. The speed of the black stream of light was extremely terrifying. Wherever it passed, the void would burn and even shatter. It let out a sharp and ear-piercing whistle. Morong Yu looked over and realized that it was a round object that was the size of a rubber ball. At the same time, a familiar aura surged towards him. This is the aura of a Star Core. Could it really be the Star Core of Planet Foryuan? Morong Yu was shocked and could not help but exclaim. It was so much so that Morong Yu's blood was boiling due to his excitement. He was no stranger to a Star Core. Not long ago, he had devoured the energy of an incomplete Star Core. Therefore, he immediately confirmed that the black stream of light was a Star Core. It was the Star Core of a dead planet Foryuan. Although he did not know why the Star Core was flying towards him, he had a chance. But now, it was an opportunity for him to collect the Star Core. He had to grab hold of this opportunity. However, Morong Yu did not rush forward rashly. He would definitely be courting death if he did that. The Star Core shot over at a frightening speed, much faster than Morong Yu's. If Morong Yu rashly rushed up to collect it, his body and even his soul would be directly smashed into smithereens by the star nucleus. He would be deader than dead. Since he couldn't collect the Star Core like this, how should he do it? There was no time for Morong Yu to think. This was because the Star Core was about to reach him. Moreover, not far behind them, countless extremely terrifying auras also smashed through the void and shot over rapidly. Most likely, those experts had already reacted and were charging over in this direction. This was not good news. If he waited for them to arrive, forget about collecting the Star Core. He would be lucky if he could even keep his life. Hichu Luo Shu. Morong Yu roared in his heart. Immediately, Hichu Luo Shu, who had transformed into a battle armor on Morong Yu, turned into a stream of light and left Morong Yu's body. Then, it expanded with the wind and quickly grew to the size of a small mountain. At the same time, Hichu Luo Shu opened a huge hole. Whoosh! At this moment, the star nucleus, which contained extremely terrifying power, rushed into Hichu Luo Shu. Boom! The entire Hichu Luo Shu exploded violently, and a terrifying overflow of damage directly blasted Murongyu's mind. Murongyu staggered and almost fell from the endless starry sky. At the same time, his 7 orifices were bleeding profusely. Go! Ignoring his serious injuries, Murongyu also turned into a stream of light and rushed into Hichu Luoshu. Then, he directly activated Hichu Luoshu's teleportation ability. With a whoosh, Hichu Luoshu disappeared on the spot. After Murongyu disappeared, more than 100 people appeared where Murongyu had been. Each of them exuded a terrifying aura, and the impact caused the surrounding void to ripple. They were all supreme existences at the creation realm. The star nucleus is gone. Many supreme existences at the creation realm frowned slightly, and their bodies flickered with a dangerous aura. Trace back to the origin. A creation realm powerhouse shouted coldly, and a powerful time power erupted from his body. Suddenly, an image slowly appeared not far in front of him. From Murongyu turning into a stream of light and rushing into Hichu Luoshu, to him bleeding profusely from his 7 orifices, to Hichu Luoshu storing the star nucleus, the original scene was restored. If Murongyu were here, he would definitely exclaim that he was lucky. This was because the young man that many creation realm powerhouses saw was not him at all. Murongyu was meticulous. After leaving the planet where they were resting, he changed his appearance. In fact, even his soul aura had changed. Therefore, if these creation realm powerhouses wanted to hunt down Murongyu, they would not be able to find Murongyu at all. However, Hichu Luoshu's appearance could not be changed. As long as he took out Hichu Luoshu in the future, these creation realm powerhouses would definitely recognize him if they saw him. He was injured by the star nucleus. This person is probably not very strong. Besides us, who else is in this starry sky? The powerhouse who used Trace back to the origin looked at the other powerhouses with a livid expression and said in a gloomy voice. The other powerhouses were also livid. They had fought to the death, but they did not expect to help someone else. Moreover, that person's strength was obviously not as strong as theirs. This made them even angrier. So what if he took the star nucleus? Let's see how he can escape from here. A creation realm powerhouse said coldly and attacked at the same time. The terrifying power of space vibrated continuously and began to search frantically. In fact, even the surrounding space had been frozen. However, no matter what they did, it was impossible for them to find Murongyu. At this moment, Murongyu had already teleported back to the planet where they were resting. In Hichu Luoshu, Murongyu looked at the Hichu Luoshu space that had been mostly destroyed and smiled bitterly. Previously, after the star nucleus rushed into Hichu Luoshu, it could no longer escape from here. However, the terrifying power contained in its high speed still destroyed most of the space in Hichu Luoshu. The overflowing damage almost killed Murongyu. Fortunately, the star nucleus did not have any attacking power. Otherwise, Murongyu would have died. However, even so, he was seriously injured. However, with the cleansing of the life force, his injuries quickly recovered to their peak. Moreover, with Murongyu's repair, the space in Hichu Luoshu also began to recover. As long as Murongyu was fine, Hichu Luoshu would eventually recover to its peak state. Murong, what happened just now? It's like this space is collapsing. The commotion just now was too big, and it woke up Zhao Jiqing and the others who were cultivating. At this moment, they had already appeared beside Murongyu and were looking at Murongyu with worried faces. Murongyu quickly shook his head and smiled. It's nothing. I just collected a star nucleus and caused a big commotion. It's fine now. Star nucleus? The women could not help but exclaim. They naturally knew what a star nucleus was. Murongyu originally had a broken star nucleus, and now he had obtained another one? Was her husband's luck really so heaven-defying? It was not that his luck was heaven-defying, but all of this was obtained by Murongyu risking his life. All the women were well aware of this. Seeing the expressions of the women, Murongyu could not help but laugh. Although there were some accidents this time, I did not risk my life. As he spoke, he told them about his experience during this period. a large group of existences at the creation realm? There are even supreme existences beyond the creation realm? Zhao Jiqing and the others were stunned. The big black dog was even more exaggerated. It was so scared that its legs turned to jelly. In the end, it even lay on the ground and could not get up. It's okay, they won't find me. After Murong comforted the women for a while, he stretched out his hand and summoned the four-element star nucleus. A huge amount of starry sky energy emanated from the star nucleus, causing everyone's chi and blood to surge. Murong-Yu's pupils suddenly shrank. This was the first time he had seen a complete star nucleus, and it was the four-element star nucleus. This star nucleus gave him an extremely powerful feeling. It was at least 100 million times more powerful than the star nucleus he had obtained from young Master Yin. What did 100 million times mean? Moreover, this was only Murong-Yu's conservative estimate. He had a feeling that if he devoured this star nucleus now, he would definitely explode in an instant. The power contained in the star nucleus was just too terrifying. Let me see. Kurlan took it and looked at it. She did not find anything special except for the terrifying aura it exuded. After that, she lost interest and threw the star nucleus to Zhao Jiqing. You can look at it all you want, but don't devour this star nucleus. Otherwise, even I can't save you. Murong-Yu instructed and then left Hichu Luoshu. If he did not leave, he would arouse the suspicion of the Sun sect. It would be disadvantageous to him then. Sure enough, right after he left, a series of enormous divine senses swept past him, covering the entire planet. It must be the Sun sect or other creation realm experts who were checking on them. Murong-Yu felt lucky. If he had come out a little later, and those people had not discovered him, he would have been in a lot of trouble. Everyone gather and prepare to return to the Sun sect. A gloomy voice sounded throughout the planet. Thus, everyone, including Murong-Yu and the others, quickly gathered together. It was still the middle-aged man who had appeared before, but this creation realm expert's face was gloomy and his eyes flashed with terrifying anger. He was probably one of the creation realm experts who had tried to steal the star nucleus. He did not expect that the star nucleus would help someone else. This made him very angry. Murong-Yu knew this very well, so he did not say anything and just gathered together in silence. In the end, the middle-aged man put them all into the Babel Tower, then turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the stars. However, many of the creation realm experts from the Sun sect and other factions did not leave. Instead, they continued to search the stars in an attempt to find Murong-Yu. However, what they didn't expect was that Murong-Yu had already left the starry sky and was heading towards the Sun sect. Chapter 1923. The headquarters of the Sun sect was located on the Sun planet. The Sun planet was the highest level and one of the largest origin planets in the Sun sect. It was far beyond the level of an ordinary 4-origin planet and was almost at the level of a 5-origin planet. Of course, Murong-Yu had obtained this information from the Demoness. Moreover, Murong-Yu knew that the highest level that could appear in the solar system was the peak of the creation realm. As for higher realms, given the rich heaven-earth essence energy in the solar system, it was impossible for them to appear. In other words, the strongest person in the Sun sect might only be at the peak of the creation realm. Why was it possible? Because no one could be sure that the Sun sect did not have anyone who surpassed the creation realm. After all, as an existence of that level, perhaps they would go to a galaxy of a higher realm to cultivate, and then after breaking through, it would not be impossible for them to come back and dominate. It's a pity that the Sun Monarch has been dead for too long. I can't retrieve his memories, Murong-Yu thought regretfully. In fact, even if the Sun Monarch had died not long ago, Murong-Yu would not have been able to retrieve his memories. After all, the difference in their cultivation levels was too great. If the Sun Monarch had died not long ago, Murong-Yu would not have been able to get close to him. Just the invisible pressure emanating from him could have easily killed Murong-Yu at the time. The Sun Monarch must have been one of the strongest people in the solar system. I wonder who killed him? Could it be an expert from the lunar sect? Or Could it be the terrifying existence that destroyed the four-origin planet? This thought suddenly appeared in Murong Yu's mind. He connected the Sun Monarch's death to the supreme existence that had wiped out all the cultivators on the four-origin planet. Although this was just a flash of inspiration, the more Murong Yu thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. However, what did this have to do with him? While Murong Yu was letting his imagination run wild, an enormous force had already taken effect on his body. Then, he was thrown out of the Heaven Connecting Tower. Boom! As soon as he appeared outside, the rich heaven-earth essence energy entered Murong Yu's body through every pore. There was no need for him to actively absorb it. What a dense heaven-earth yuan qi! Is this the true heaven-earth yuan qi of 4 yuan star? Murong Yu's face revealed a look of shock. In the next moment, he tried to take the initiative to devour it. As a result, the qi of heaven and earth surged madly into his body, as if it had gone out of control. But because the qi of heaven and earth was too dense, such a large movement did not cause any abnormalities. It seemed that this was normal. Even a pig can cultivate to an extremely high realm in this kind of primordial star. Murong Yu thought in shock. With such dense heaven and earth origin energy, ordinary geniuses would be able to quickly break through to the bright world realm. As for some monstrous geniuses, it was absolutely not difficult for them to break through to the creation realm. However, for a freak like Murong Yu, wanting to cultivate here and break through to a higher realm was wishful thinking. The amount of power he needed was simply too terrifying. While Murong Yu was still in shock, the other 10,000 people who had come with him were also stunned. A bunch of country bumpkins. At this moment, a disdainful voice sounded. Everyone was a peerless genius from all over the world who had finally become a disciple of the Sun sect after going through life and death experiences. Now, they were actually called country bumpkins. Immediately, some people could not help but be angry. They all glared at each other. But very soon, they gave up on the idea. This was because although the person who called them country bumpkins was a young man, he exuded a terrifying aura. Bright world realm. In fact, it was not just this young man. Many people around looked at Murong Yu and the others with disdain. The behavior of these people made them feel embarrassed. These people were naturally the disciples of the Sun sect. In fact, as disciples of the Sun sect, they also came from different places. Didn't they have the same expression at the beginning? These people simply had mental problems. Murong Yu did not care about this at all. To him, only peak bright world realm existences were worthy of his attention. Only creation realm existences were worthy of his attention. As for the others, what did it have to do with him? What a huge tower. That's the real heaven-reaching tower, right? Suddenly, a shocking exclamation sounded beside Murong Yu. Murong Yu looked in the direction of the voice and then followed the person's gaze. Then, a look of shock appeared on his face. In front of him was an incomparably huge black tower that occupied the entire sun star. He could not see the top and did not know how tall it was. From afar, the heaven-reaching tower exuded an extremely terrifying aura. In fact, even Murong Yu's soul was trembling. This heaven-reaching tower is definitely not just a creation realm origin artifact. It might be an even higher level origin artifact, Murong Yu said in his heart. From afar, the black heaven-reaching tower did not emit any light of power. It was not that there was no power, but that the heaven-reaching tower was too high level. Murong Yu could not see through it, which resulted in this situation. From now on, you are already official disciples of the Sun sect. Someone will take you to go through the formalities later, the middle-aged man said with a dark expression. Then, he took a step forward and disappeared. No one left. Although they had come to the Sun sect, everything was too unfamiliar to them. Before they were familiar with the place, they did not dare to wander around. Otherwise, it was very likely that they would be killed. Although they were geniuses, the Sun sect did not lack geniuses. They did not have to wait for long. After a while, a young man came in front of them. Hello, everyone. I am your senior brother, Nyejali. You can call me senior brother Nya. I will now bring you to the area where the outer sect disciples are. As he spoke, Niezheli took out jade slips, one for each person, and said that they were all about the Sun sect. Just like the other sects that Murong you'd seen before, the Sun sect was also divided into outer sect disciples and inner sect disciples. However, there were no true disciples or core disciples. Once they broke through to the Bright World realm, they would be promoted to inner sect disciples. In the Sun sect, most of the disciples were at the Bright World realm. Of course, some of them were outer sect disciples. Although the chi of heaven and earth on the Sun planet was extremely dense, not everyone could reach the Bright World realm. Those who could not break through to the Bright World realm could only be outer sect disciples of the Sun sect forever. Above the inner sect, disciples were the elders of the sect. In the Sun sect, as long as one reached the creation realm, one could be promoted to an elder. After a rough understanding of the Sun sect's disciple hierarchy, Murong focused on other aspects. The Sun sect was the overlord of the solar system and had an absolute ruling position. All the planets in the solar system were under their rule. Every force had to pay taxes to the Sun sect. Of course, there were no absolutes in the world. There were many powerful forces in the solar system that ruled many planets. Those forces did not submit to the Sun sect. For example, the lunar sect was one of the strongest contenders for the position of the Sun sovereign. Every time, the major sects and forces would compete for the position of the Sun sovereign. However, the Sun sect was always one step ahead. The current Sun sovereign was still the Sun sect's leader. That said, the solar sect was too big for him to handle. Ordinary 1 yuan, 2 yuan, and 3 yuan planets had not even heard of them. The Sun sect only had direct jurisdiction over the 4 yuan planets, and the 4 yuan planets had jurisdiction over the 3 yuan planets. It was normal for those low-level planets not to know about the existence of the solar system. As for ordinary planets like the Holy Realm, the Sun sect was not interested in them at all. After understanding this general knowledge, Murong saw something else that piqued his interest. The Heaven-Reaching Tower. There was a reason why the Heaven-Reaching Tower was built on the Sun planet. The Heaven-Reaching Tower had its own space, and the stairway to heaven was so high that one could not see the top. It was definitely not something those imitations could compare to. Climbing the stairway to heaven. This was a cultivation method in the Sun sect, and also a way to show one's strength. The higher the stairway, the more obvious one's identity would be. This was because only the strong could climb the stairway to heaven. If one could break the record, there would be rewards. What interested Murong was not the ranking or the rewards, but the stairway to heaven. One had to know that the stairway to heaven would have an extremely strong gravitational force. Would the real heaven-reaching tower be able to make his body stronger? He knew that the gravity of the real Tower of Babel was many times stronger than that of the replica Tower of Babel. I have to go check it out if I have the chance. Murong thought to himself as he continued to read other information. The Sun planet was the Sun sect's headquarters, and they had many disciples. However, the Sun planet was simply too big, and the Sun sect only occupied a small part of it. Many of them were from other factions, and some were even solo cultivators. The Sun sect did not mind other factions on the Sun planet, nor did they mind solo cultivators cultivating here. However, to live on the Sun planet, one had to pay an extremely high price. Those factions had to pay a certain amount of resources every once in a while. As for those solo cultivators, they had to pay enough elemental crystals to survive here. Of course, as long as one became a disciple of the Sun sect, they could walk freely on the Sun planet, except for some forbidden areas. This was the benefit of being a disciple of the Sun sect. Therefore, there would be a large number of people wandering around the solar system every day. They all had the same idea. If they could meet an elder of the Sun sect and be accepted as a disciple, they would be like carps leaping over the Dragon Gate. This is your residence. Niezheli's voice sounded in Murong-Yu's ears. Only then did Murong-Yu take a look at his surroundings. His brows furrowed slightly. They were standing at the bottom of a tall mountain, and there were many buildings at the foot of the mountain in front of them. Although the buildings looked good, the difference between the environment here and the environment above was too big. The higher up the mountain, the more luxurious the buildings were and the larger the area. Most importantly, the higher up they went, the denser the elemental energy of heaven and earth. The elemental energy of heaven and earth at the foot of the mountain was the worst. Chapter 1924. Senior Brother Nya, we're all disciples of the Sun Sect. Why do we have to live at the foot of the mountain, where the heaven-earth yuan qi is the weakest? Why do we have to live at the top? A new disciple asked Niezheli with an ugly expression. Niezheli's expression turned cold. He glanced at the crowd and said slowly, "You don't agree?" No one said anything, but each and every one of them had an indignant look on their faces. They had already revealed what they were thinking. Because you're the lowest of the Sun Sect's disciples, you have to live in the worst environment, Niezheli said coldly. Everyone's expression turned even uglier. However, Niezheli's next words gave them hope. However, the Sun Sect's motto is survival of the fittest and survival of the fittest. Are you envious of the taller buildings? Do you want to go to the middle of the mountain? Or even cultivate at the top? Turn those places into your cultivation grounds? In the Sun Sect, all of this is possible. As long as you're strong enough, you can challenge any senior brother or sister on the Sun Mountain. As long as you can defeat them, you can take over the place and make it your own. You can even challenge any of the supreme beings on the Sun Mountain. Everyone's breathing turned heavy at Niezheli's words. The Sun Sect was so cruel. If they could defeat the owners of those buildings, wouldn't they soar to the heavens? With denser heaven-earth yuan qi for them to cultivate, their strength would increase even faster. Even Morong Yu's heart trembled. Originally, he didn't care where he lived at all. After all, even the heaven-earth yuan qi on the Sun Mountain couldn't help him break through quickly. However, he learned that each of these buildings was protected by the Sun Sect. Each building's array was connected to the sect's defensive array. In other words, each building's defenses were terrifying. Ordinary people couldn't open them at all. Wasn't this perfect for Zhao Jiqing and the others to cultivate? In the solar system, where could the heaven-earth yuan qi compare to the Sun Mountain? Even if the origin star's heaven-earth yuan qi was comparable to the Sun Star, or even better, what about safety? How could it compare to the Sun Sect? Therefore, Morong Yu decided to challenge it when he had the time. Niezheli sneered again. All of the Sun Sect's disciples live on Sun Mountain. As for those above you, they all have to enter the Sun Sect before you. If I were you, I wouldn't be so stupid as to immediately challenge it. Instead, I would cultivate for a period of time first. Hearing this, everyone was shocked and came to their senses. That's right. Every disciple of the Sun Sect was a genius. Their talents weren't below theirs. Moreover, the time they spent cultivating here was longer, and their cultivation levels were higher. Moreover, they must have cultivated the divine arts of the Sun Sect. In terms of strength, how could they compare? As a result, everyone woke up from their heated state in an instant. In the following time, Niezheli took them to familiarize themselves with the Sun Sect. After receiving their outer disciple robes and identity badges, they left. Everyone returned to the foot of MT Sun and began to choose their own houses. Morong Yu was the only one who didn't choose. Instead, he raised his head and looked even higher up the Sun Mountain. At first glance, these buildings were scattered messily on Sun Mountain. But upon closer inspection, the distribution of these buildings was very ingenious. The countless buildings formed a huge formation. Moreover, each building had a distinct level between them. It increased with each level. After some observation, Morong Yu found that the density of energy in buildings of the same level was about the same. But there was something special. Every level of a building would have a few buildings with extremely dense heaven-earth yuan qi, far surpassing other buildings of the same level. These buildings were comparable to ordinary buildings on a higher level. Kid, could it be that you want to challenge a higher level building? While Morong Yu was looking at the buildings on Sun Mountain, a somewhat disdainful voice sounded in his ears. Morong Yu knitted his brows and looked over, only to see a group of a dozen or so people slowly walking over. They all had arrogant looks on their faces. These guys were probably here to make their presence known in front of the new disciples. In response, Muronyu didn't care at all. He only glanced at the other party before looking away. Seeing that Muronyu didn't pay attention to him, the youth who spoke couldn't hold it in anymore. Kid, do you think that just because you're a disciple of the Sun Sect, you can be arrogant? Let me tell you, even in the Sun Sect, even if you're an outer disciple, there are different levels. You people are just the most trashy ants. Hearing this, except for Muronyu, all the new disciples couldn't help but be angry. They were all geniuses and had their own pride. They definitely wouldn't allow others to humiliate them. What? You're not convinced? Then let's compete. The youth who spoke had a look of disdain. He didn't put them in his eyes at all. Sun Chong went to bully the new disciples again. At this moment, many people had gathered. Apart from Muronyu and the other new disciples, there were more old disciples of the Sun Sect. However, they were all outer disciples, which meant that they hadn't broken through to the Bright World realm. After all, in front of a Bright World realm powerhouse, a chaotic world realm cultivator was just an ant. They weren't on the same level at all. Even if they fought, it wouldn't attract any attention from them. But the new disciples need to be taught a lesson. They're all so arrogant and think that the Sun Sect is some remote mountain. These so-called geniuses are worthless in the Sun Sect. Someone sneered. They were all geniuses of their own realm, but after entering the Sun Sect, they realized that this was a gathering place for geniuses. Ordinary geniuses would have long been forgotten. Even if one was a top genius, they would become ordinary in this place. There were just too many geniuses in the Sun Sect. We're all Chaotic World Realm Level 9. You just joined the Sun Sect before us. What's there to be proud of? I'll fight you. A burly man walked out and greeted Sun Chong with a thunderous voice. Sun Chong's eyes flashed with a cold light as he sneered. Very well. I thought that you trash were just a bunch of cowards. I didn't expect someone to accept my challenge. How about this? I'll give you 3 moves. After 3 moves, I'll trample you under my feet within 10 moves. The burly man's face flushed red as he glared at Sun Chong. They were both Chaotic World Realm Level 9. Wasn't Sun Chong insulting him? Thus, he instantly went berserk. With a loud roar, he charged at Sun Chong. With a punch, the sky changed color and the void solidified. The power of space was like a storm as it attacked Sun Chong. Chaotic World Realm powerhouses had more or less mastered the law of space. In battle, even if they didn't deliberately use the power of space, their every move would naturally trigger the power of the law of space. Sun Chong smiled faintly as his figure flashed like a fish and retreated. The burly man's attack didn't even touch the corner of his clothes. The burly man's eyes flashed with surprise as he roared again and attacked. Muronyu shook his head. Although their realms were similar, Sun Chong was much stronger in terms of strength. Moreover, although Sun Chong's combat skills were worthless in his eyes, they were far superior to the burly man's. The burly man would lose without a doubt. Sure enough, the burly man didn't manage to hit Sun Chong after 3 consecutive moves. After 3 moves, Sun Chong counterattacked. Sun Fist Technique. Sun Chong roared and punched out with his right fist. At the same time, his fist burst out with a dazzling light, like a dazzling sun in the starry sky. Instantly, many people's gazes were dazzled. The burly man was the same. Boom! The burly man narrowed his eyes slightly, but in that split second, Sun Chong's fist had already smashed into his chest. After a loud, muffled sound, the burly man let out a scream and was sent flying. Sun Chong, on the other hand, was unforgiving. He rushed forward like an arrow. Bang! Sun Chong stepped out and stomped the burly man to the ground. A hole had already appeared where the burly man was punched. However, no blood flowed out. On the contrary, it looked like it was burned. You guys are too useless. You can't even take a single move from me? I overestimated you guys. You guys are the best of the worst. I really don't know how you guys got into the Sun Sect. Is there no one else in the solar system? Sun Chong stepped on the burly man's chest and slowly glanced at everyone's faces with disdain. Although many of the new disciples were furious, no one dared to say a word. Some of them were confident that they could defeat the burly man, but they couldn't kill him in one move. Although they were in the same realm, Sun Chang's combat power was much stronger than theirs. Trash! None of you dare to come out and fight. Sun Chang was extremely arrogant. In the end, his gaze stopped on Murong Yu's face and showed a look of disdain. Murong Yu didn't move. Although Sun Chang's combat power was not bad, he still didn't care. He could kill 1 billion Sun Changs with one finger. Kid, do you dare to accept my challenge? If you defeat me, my cave abode is yours. Sun Chang provoked Murong Yu. For some reason, he didn't like Murong Yu since he saw Murong Yu. Murong Yu shook his head. Where's your cave abode? Sun Chang pointed to a cave abode on the upper level. Murong Yu found that although Sun Chang's cave abode was much better than the one at the foot of the mountain, it was only an outer sect disciple's cave abode. The Yuan Shi here was far from what he needed, so he shook his head and said, "Not interested. Besides, you're not my opponent." Chapter 1925. I'm not your opponent. Sun Chang was stunned. The other disciples, especially the senior disciples of the Sun sect, were all shocked. Does this guy really have that kind of strength, or is he just bragging? Even if he was several times stronger than the big guy, Sun Chang still managed to knock him down with one punch. Kid, you said I'm not your opponent? Sun Chang jumped up as if someone stepped on his tail, rushing in front of Murong Yu. He looked at Murong Yu with a ferocious expression. Murong Yu nodded honestly. I see you've been in the Sun sect for a long time, right? Still unable to break through? Depressed in your heart? So, every time a new disciple comes in, you come over to make your presence known? You want to satisfy your vanity by defeating the new disciples? But in fact, you're just the bottom of the barrel among the senior disciples. Do you believe that as long as you give them some time, they can easily beat you to the ground? As Murong Yu spoke, he pointed at the 9,000 newly promoted disciples and indifferently said, "Don't worry." However, his words were like a needle that pierced Sun Chang's body. There was no other reason, but because Murong Yu was right. Hearing Sun Chang's words, the new disciples suddenly understood. Then they all looked at Sun Chang with disdain. This kind of trash could only pick on the soft persimmons like them, the new disciples, to pinch. You're courting death. Sun Chang roared and threw a punch at Murong Yu. In a flash of light, bang! After a muffled sound, a figure flew out. This guy can't only talk, right? He was actually sent flying by Sun Chang's punch? Everyone suddenly had this thought, but soon they were shocked, because they found that the one who flew out was not Murong Yu, but Sun Chang. Everyone's face was filled with shock, because none of them saw how Murong Yu attacked, and they didn't know how Sun Chang was sent flying. Only Murong Yu and Sun Chang, the two people involved, knew. At that time, Sun Chang rushed at Murong Yu with full force. He originally thought that one punch would be enough to knock Murong Yu down and make him lie in bed for a few years. However, before he could rejoice, Murong Yu had already kicked him in the abdomen. Then, tragedy befell Sun Chang as he was sent flying with a kick. Well, I just chose this house, now it's yours. Murong Yu walked over and sent Sun Chang, who was lying on the ground in pain, flying with a kick. Sun Chang drew a parabola in the air and finally landed at the foot of the mountain, the building with the weakest world essence chi. This was specially chosen by Murong Yu. After sending Sun Chang flying with a kick, Murong Yu indifferently swept his gaze over the senior disciples. Do you guys still want to show your presence here? Feeling superior? Everyone's face turned green. They didn't even know how Murong Yu attacked. How could they be his opponent? Only the top 10 outer disciples may be able to defeat him. Many of the old disciples thought in their hearts. In less than a day after entering the sect, Murong Yu's status had been promoted to the highest level of outer disciples. It was comparable to those 10 abnormal people. The new disciples who entered the sect at the same time, except for the 6 heavenly kings, all looked at Murong Yu with respect. Murong Yu's strength had won their respect. Glancing at these people, Murong Yu slowly walked towards the cave that originally belonged to Sun Chang. Stop! At this moment, a cold voice came from afar, and then a young man appeared in front of Murong Yu and the others. Yi Kuei. When they saw this young man, The older disciple's eyes lit up. Yi Kuei was one of the top 10 outer disciples, ranked 10th. Now, he occupied one of the top 10 cave residences for outer disciples. This person was ruthless and extremely protective. He was also very arrogant and looked down on others. However, he did have the right to be arrogant. Although he was still at the peak of the chaotic space realm, his combat strength was very terrifying. Many years ago, he could already cross realms and kill an enemy at the Bright World realm. Now, people guessed that Yi Kuei's strength could at least kill a stage 3 Bright World realm cultivator. He was one of the top 10 abnormal people in the Sun sect. I heard that this Yi Kuei is the most arrogant and looks down on others. If he stands out now, this new disciple called Muron, you will definitely be in for a tragedy. The surrounding people were originally preparing to leave, but now they all stopped and prepared to watch the show. Muron Yu frowned slightly, and a trace of impatience flashed across his face. He had only been in the Sun sect for less than a day, and so many troubles had come to find him. One had to know that he was most afraid of trouble. Therefore, he was very impatient. Kneel down, break your own limbs, and then scram back to where you belong. Yi Kuei looked coldly at Muron Yu and pointed at the building that Sun Chong was in. These buildings were actually cave residences. Therefore, the people of the Sun sect called them cave residences instead of buildings. A trace of cold, killing intent flashed across Muron Yu's eyes. He had no enmity with this Yi Kuei, but this bastard wanted him to break his own limbs as soon as they met. Muron Yu believed that if they weren't in the Sun sect, Yi Kuei would definitely kill him. Didn't you hear me? In that case, I'll help you break your limbs. Yi Kuei's eyes flashed with killing intent as he reached out and grabbed at Muron Yu. Suppressing the anger in his heart, Muron Yu took a step forward and rapidly retreated. He dodged Yi Kuei's attack. This little guy can actually dodge Yi Kuei's attack? Interesting. An extremely powerful spiritual force exclaimed. Then a few more spiritual forces of the same level extended over. They should be the 10 freaks of the outer sect disciples, the 10 strongest. Yi Kuei's face darkened. Although he only made a casual move this time, ordinary people couldn't escape at all. Even Bright World Realm, second stage cultivators couldn't completely dodge. Whoosh! In his anger, Yi Kuei attacked again, and this time, the power of his attack was even stronger. The anger in Muron Yu's heart completely exploded. This time, he didn't dodge back. Instead, he took a step forward and threw out a punch. Boom! Muron Yu didn't continue to keep a low profile. Since Yi Kuei wanted to die, he would fulfill his wish. Therefore, Muron Yu's punch shattered Yi Kuei's big hand. His fist only paused in the void for a moment. Then, he continued to charge forward. Bang! Yi Kuei couldn't dodge the punch and was hit in the chest. After a loud explosion, a hole appeared in Yi Kuei's chest. However, Muron Yu didn't stop. He took a step forward and rushed forward. Before Yi Kuei could react, he had already stomped his foot onto the ground. Everything happened in a flash. It was so fast that no one present could react. It wasn't until Yi Kuei was stepped on by Muron Yu that everyone reacted. Then, the crowd exploded like boiling water. The new disciples didn't think much of it. They just felt that Yi Kuei couldn't withstand a single blow. However, the older disciples were extremely shocked. Yi Kuei, as one of the 10 strongest outer sect disciples of the Sun sect, had a terrifying battle strength comparable to a Bright World Realm 3rd stage, although he was only at the peak of the chaotic world realm. With such strength, even a portion of the inner sect disciples were no match for him. Among the outer court disciples, only the 9 people who were ranked above him had the power to fight with him, but they were only on par with each other. But today, this powerful existence was actually beaten down by Muron Yu with a single punch and was finally stepped on by Muron Yu. Was Yi Kuei too weak? No, Yi Kuei was still the same Yi Kuei from before. He was still very powerful. It was Muron Yu who was too powerful. He defeated Yi Kuei, who was comparable to a Bright World Realm 3rd stage, with the strength of a Chaotic World Realm 5th stage. He had the battle strength to cross a major realm. Wasn't this too terrifying? Could this be true? The surrounding people immediately looked at Murongyu with horrified gazes. In fact, Murongyu even felt a few more terrifying forces penetrating down from the top of Sun Mountain. Murongyu's heart trembled, and he immediately released the suppression of his realm. Chaotic World, Realm 9th Stage. After seeing Murongyu's realm, the enormous divine consciousness quickly retreated. Although the surrounding people were still shocked, they weren't as shocked as before. Crossing 4 or 5 minor realms of battle strength. This was still within their acceptable range. If it was crossing a major realm, it would be too shocking. It was precisely because he knew that it was too shocking that Murongyu released his suppression of his cultivation. At the same time, Murongyu also decided not to reveal his full strength. The Sun Sect's waters were unfathomable. Who knew if someone would capture him and study him after finding out his true strength? If not for this worry, Murongyu wouldn't have released his suppressed realm. After all, he had always liked to keep a low profile. However, wasn't he keeping a low profile now? If he unleashed his true strength, even a half step to the creation realm expert wouldn't be able to withstand his attack. In my eyes, you're just a piece of trash. I'm sorry, but I changed my mind, Murongyu said coldly as he looked at Yi Kuei, who was under his foot. At the same time, he stretched out his hand and pulled Sun Chong back. Then, he crushed Yi Kuei's thigh with his foot. Didn't this guy want to break his limbs? Then, Murongyu would give him a taste of his own medicine. Ah! Yi Kuei let out an incomparably shrill scream. Hearing his screams, the surrounding people all had looks of disdain in their eyes. It turned out that one of the top 10 outer sect disciples was nothing more than this. It was just a broken leg. Did he have to scream like a pig being slaughtered? However, what he didn't know was that Murongyu had used a special method. Although he had broken Yi Kuei's leg, the pain was deep in his soul. Moreover, Murongyu was also quite sinister. After breaking Yi Kuei's leg, he left his chaotic energy in his foot to prevent Yi Kuei's broken limb from regrowing. Unless his strength was greater than Murongyu's, or there was an expert stronger than Murongyu to expel this energy for him, Yi Kuei would live in incomparable pain every day. Finally, after breaking all 4 of Yi Kuei's limbs, Murongyu kicked him into the cave at the foot of Sun Mountain with the weakest heaven-earth Yuan Qi. Chapter 1926. Which one of you is confident in defeating him? After a long while, one of the 9 powerful spiritual senses that had been spying in the void asked the other 8 people. In 8 of the 10 best cave dwellings of the outer sect disciples, the 8 cultivators shook their heads. They were one of the top 10 outer sect disciples of the Sun sect, and each of them was extremely powerful. The weakest of them was at the 3rd stage of the Bright World realm. In fact, the strongest was comparable to the 4th stage of the Bright World realm. Extremely powerful. However, none of them were confident in defeating Murongyu. I have a feeling that I'm not Murongyu's match. Not long after, a woman in cave dwelling number 3 shook her head and smiled bitterly. What? Hearing this, the others were shocked. This woman was in cave dwelling number 3, which meant that her combat strength was ranked 3rd among the 10, similar to the first 2. She actually admitted that she was inferior to Murongyu, although they hadn't fought before. However, this woman had a very strange ability. She could predict the gap between herself and her opponent. Therefore, if she said that she wasn't Murongyu's match, then she definitely wasn't Murongyu's match. Murongyu is unfathomable, and I'm not his match either. After the woman in cave dwelling number 3 admitted that she wasn't Murongyu's match, the man in cave dwelling number 1 also directly admitted it. It was just that his skills were inferior to others. What was there to be afraid of? Therefore, everyone looked at cave dwelling number 2. The person in cave dwelling number 2 was a young man about 18 or 19 years old. At this moment, he was shaking his head helplessly. Even those 2 freaks aren't Murongyu's match. Do you think I can? Who is this kid? He's only been in the sect for a day, and he's already defeated all of the top 10 outer sect disciples. The owner of cave dwelling number 7 said speechlessly. The others also shook their heads helplessly. Do you think he'll challenge the Bright World Realm cave dwellings? The expert in cave dwelling number 9 said. Even the weakest Bright World Realm cave dwellings are superior to the top 10 cave dwellings of our outer sect disciples. However, even if we defeat them, others will come to challenge us at any time. Trouble came one after another, and there was no time to cultivate. It would be better to occupy the 10 grotto mansions of the outer sect disciples and cultivate in peace. No one would dare to challenge you, the guy from the 5th grotto said with a smile. Presumably, this was the reason why the 10 of them occupied the 10 caves. At their level, immortality was a must. Although the heaven-earth yuan qi in the 10 caves was lacking, it only delayed their breakthrough. It would be better for him to consolidate his cultivation base here. When the time came, he would directly challenge the cave abodes that were ranked at the top of the Bright World realm. If it were me, I definitely wouldn't go back to challenge him. The owner of cave abode number 4 said with a smile. Hey, speak of the devil. That guy has already arrived at cave abode number 10. Should we go and greet him? There's no need to go. The guy has already gone in and closed the door. This guy was too independent and arbitrary. When the time comes, I'll find an opportunity to get to know him. At this time, Muronyu had already entered cave abode number 10. Originally, he had intended to challenge a Bright World Realm cave dwelling. With his battle strength, it wasn't impossible for him to challenge a cave abode of a Bright World Realm expert. However, if he did that, he would definitely expose his true battle strength that could cross a major realm. This wasn't a good thing for him. Therefore, he could only stay in cave abode number 10 for the time being. As long as he broke through to the Bright World Realm, he would be able to challenge a cave abode of a Bright World Realm expert. Although this cave abode looked like a building from the outside, it had its own space. There were pavilions, small streams, and beautiful scenery. Coupled with the rich heaven-earth yuan qi, it was a good place to cultivate. Therefore, after setting up a large number of restrictions and array formations around the cave abode, Muronyu released Zhao, Jiqing, and the others from Hichu Luo Shu. In fact, the owner of the cave abode had the right to let others cultivate in the cave abode. On this day, the Sun religion didn't forbid it. It was just that Muronyu didn't want others to notice it. After coming out, all the girls were shocked by the rich heaven-earth yuan qi. Their auras began to surge crazily. They were all top geniuses, but they hadn't broken through before. It wasn't because their comprehension and aptitude weren't good enough, but because the heaven-earth yuan qi wasn't enough. Moreover, they had all used the chaos origin liquid to temper their bodies before, so it was natural for them to break through now. Muronyu didn't pay attention to the girls' breakthroughs. He sat alone and began to digest the inheritance of the Burning Flame ancestor. Previously, he had only read the memories of the Burning Flame ancestor and hadn't sorted out and cultivated his inheritance. Compared to the chaotic celestial body record, the Burning Flame ancestor's inheritance was simply inferior. Therefore, it was directly ignored by Muronyu. In fact, Muronyu couldn't cultivate the Burning Flame ancestor's inheritance either. As for the girls, the Burning Flame ancestor was at the peak of the creation realm. But after all, he was just an itinerant cultivator, so his cultivation method wasn't that strong. Therefore, Muronyu directly let the girls cultivate the Sun Sutra. The Sun Sutra was the most powerful cultivation method of the Sun religion. It was the painstaking effort of countless ancestors of the Sun religion. Even in the Sun religion, only the core existences were qualified to cultivate a part of it. Only the sect leader was qualified to cultivate the complete Sun Sutra. Muronyu benefited from this. However, the girls couldn't casually reveal that they had cultivated the Sun Sutra. Otherwise, the Sun family would definitely suppress them. In addition to the cultivation method, the Burning Flame ancestor also had many combat skills. However, although there were many combat skills, only one of them caught Muronyu's attention: Spirit Burning Flame. This was a set of fist techniques. It was because of this Spirit Burning Flame that the Burning Flame ancestor was called the Burning Flame and could become one of the top powerhouses of the 4-element star. Spirit Burning Flame Sky Burning Flame, Spirit Burning Flame. This set of combat skills only had 3 moves. However, when these 3 moves were unleashed, they had extremely terrifying effects. It was said that if the last move was used, even the entire sky would be burned. Although this was a bit exaggerated, it also proved the horror of the Spirit Burning Flame. Muronyu immediately began to cultivate this set of techniques. With his comprehension and strength, it was easy for him to successfully cultivate the first 2 moves of the Spirit Burning Flame. He had already mastered them. However, he couldn't successfully cultivate the last move no matter how hard he tried. He discovered that Heavenly Flame Connection could be successfully cultivated in the chaotic void realm. However, Spirit Burning Flame required the strength of the Bright World realm as a foundation. Therefore, although Muronyu was only in the chaotic realm, he had the strength of the Bright World realm. Therefore, he could successfully cultivate it. Muronyu would probably have to wait until he broke through to the creation realm or had the strength of the creation realm before he could cultivate the 3rd move. However, even though he had only cultivated 2 moves, his combat strength had increased significantly. It's time to go out and do missions. Muronyu slowly opened his eyes and prepared to go out and do missions. After becoming a disciple of the Sun Religion, the Sun Religion had distributed various cultivation methods and combat skills, as well as origin crystals, as well as various elixirs and origin weapons. These were the most basic benefits of the Sun Religion. Moreover, every once in a while, there would be a public lecture from the Sun Religion. However, all of this was not for free. All disciples of the Sun Religion had to do missions and complete them within a certain time limit. Otherwise, it would be regarded as automatically giving up their identity as a disciple of the Sun Religion, and they would be expelled from the Sun Religion or even hunted down. This was especially so for new outer sect disciples. They had to complete their first mission within 10 years. Otherwise, they would be immediately expelled and sent back to where they came from. Muronyu, get out here. At this moment, a loud shout came from outside. Although this cave abode was enveloped by a large array, it did not isolate the sound. Otherwise, how could a sudden mission be transmitted? Murongyu's face darkened. He knew that trouble was coming. However, he didn't expect that after he had exposed his terrifying strength, there would still be people who were blind enough to come looking for him. You guys continue to cultivate here. I'll go take care of it. Muronyu instructed and then strode out. You're Muronyu? Senior brother Yi Tian wants to see you. A young man with a malicious expression said coldly when he saw Muronyu. Yi Tian? What's that? If he wants to see me, he can come here himself. I don't know him. Muronyu said unhappily. If any Tom, Dick, or Harry wanted to see him, then wouldn't he be very busy? How dare you? Senior brother Yi Tian is a supreme existence in the Bright World realm level 9. He's a genius who is most likely to break through to the creation realm. How dare you insult him? The young man looked at Muronyu with murderous intent. Muronyu frowned slightly. What's the relationship between Yi Tian and Yi Kuei? Yi Kuei is senior brother Yi Tian's younger brother. The other party replied. Muronyu nodded. So that's how it is. That it's right for Yi Tian to come looking for trouble. However, why would he be afraid of a mere Bright World realm level 9? If he met that guy outside, he could kill Yi Tian with one punch. Go back and tell Yi Tian that if he wants to see me, he has to prepare a gift and come here personally. Otherwise, there's no need to talk. As Muronyu spoke, he was about to leave. Hee, senior brother Yi Tian isn't inviting you. The young man was infuriated by Muronyu's arrogance. He reached out his hand and grabbed Muronyu. Slap! Muronyu slapped the young man's face hard, smashing half of the young man's face. At the same time, the young man was sent flying. Do you not understand human language, or what? Why do you have to force me to make a move? The young man was shocked and humiliated when he heard Muronyu's words. He was so irritated that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Good. Very good. The sinister-looking youth stood up and glared at Muronyu with a venomous gaze before turning around to leave. He knew that he was no match for Muronyu. Stop right there. Did I say you can leave? Muronyu's cold voice sounded in the young man's ears. causing him to clench his butthole. What do you want? I'm senior brother, Yi Tian's man. The young man looked at Murong with fear. Since I made a move, you have to compensate me for the loss of power, right? Give me your spatial treasure. Murong looked at the young man and said indifferently. Chapter 1927. Compensation. Upon hearing Murong words, the sinister-looking youth, and even the Sun Sect disciples who had come to watch the show were all stunned. What did Murong have to lose? The one who lost the most was the sinister youth, right? After being beaten up by Murong, he was probably crying in his heart. He had been whipped, yet he still had to compensate Murong. Murong, don't go too far. The youth gnashed his teeth and glared at Murong, his eyes spitting fire. How am I going too far? Do you think I don't need time to recover my lost energy? Are you going to give it to me or not? If you don't, I'll take it myself. But then your interspatial treasure won't be enough to compensate me. You'll have to pay with your life. Murong voice was cold, his killing intent so intense that the youth's face paled. The youth knew that Murong wouldn't dare do anything in the Sun Sect. However, if he were to cripple him, it was also possible for him to die in an accident. Not only was this guy strong, but he also seemed to have a powerful background. Even senior brother Yi Tian couldn't subdue him. It would be easy for someone like him to kill a lowly existence like him. Thus, even though the youth was extremely unwilling, he still took out the spatial treasure, removed its ownership, and threw it to Murong. Then he turned to leave. Go back and tell Yi Tian that if he wants to see me, he'll have to prepare a gift. Otherwise, go back to where you came from. Murong said. The malicious-looking young man staggered and almost fell to the ground. But in the end, he left without looking back. Murong indifferently glanced at the people around him, then left in an unhurried manner. He didn't have much to do with these outer sect disciples, so he didn't want to interact with them. Although some wanted to curry favor with him, he wasn't interested in that. Sun Mountain was where the Sun Sect's disciples cultivated and rested. However, the Sun Sect's meeting hall and mission hall weren't located on Sun Mountain. Instead, they were on other mountains. Murong left Sun Mountain and headed for the mission hall. High above Sun Mountain, inside Yi Tian's cave abode. What? Murong really said that? Yi Tian was furious. He stood up abruptly, his eyes filled with murderous intent. Although he wasn't one of the strongest inner sect disciples, he was one of the top geniuses among them. He even had hopes of breaking through to the blessed realm in a short period of time. He had a lot of influence among the inner sect disciples. Not only had Murong tortured his younger brother to death, he had even ignored him. How could he not be angry? Brother Yi, that kid seems to be heading towards the mission hall, the malicious young man suddenly said as if he had thought of something. Mission hall. Yi Tian frowned slightly. Senior brother Yi Tian, didn't you want that Murong? Even senior martial brother, you wouldn't be able to kill him in the Sun Sect. But if he dies in the middle of a mission, a gentle-looking young man suddenly said. Yi Tian's eyes lit up. He looked at the youth and asked, You're saying that the mission should be given to Murong? The mission hall was one of the busiest places in the Sun Sect. Aside from the missions that every disciple had to complete, there were also a ton of other missions in the hall. These missions were issued by the lofty existences in the Sun Sect. Once completed, the disciples would be rewarded handsomely. Although the Sun Sect provided excellent benefits, it was only a drop in the bucket for experts of their level. It could only guarantee the most basic cultivation. If they wanted to increase their strength quickly, pills and the like weren't enough. Therefore, aside from going out to train and search for opportunities, the best thing to do was to accept missions in the mission hall. After entering the mission hall, Murong didn't immediately accept a mission. Instead, he wandered around the hall to learn the basics. The missions that disciples had to complete weren't easy to complete, but they definitely weren't difficult. As long as they spent some time and effort, they could be completed very quickly. Moreover, there was a realm restriction, so the danger wasn't high. After all, the Sun Sect wanted them to complete the mission, not to send them to their deaths. However, apart from the missions that had to be completed, the other missions would be dangerous. Of course, there were also simple missions. However, the simpler the mission, the less the reward. The more dangerous the mission, the higher the reward. The risk and reward were directly proportional. This was especially true for a newly promoted outer disciple like Murong-yu, whose task was even simpler. The danger level of the mission was limited to below the Bright World realm. They could go to a certain origin star to pick some treasures, or go to a subsidiary sect to help them solve some unsolvable problems. After understanding the basics, Murong-yu came to the window and prepared to accept the mission. These missions couldn't be chosen by oneself. They were randomly assigned by the mission hall. Murong-yu? After receiving Murong-yu's identity token, the disciple in the mission hall immediately looked at Murong-yu with a strange gaze. When he met the disciple's gaze, Murong-yu's heart skipped a beat, but he didn't say anything. This is your mission. It's already recorded in your identity token. From now on, you must complete it within 10 years. Otherwise, you'll fail the mission and be expelled from the Sun Sect. The disciple in the mission hall threw Murong-yu's identity token to Murong-yu and said coldly. Murong-yu frowned slightly. He took the identity token and probed it with his divine consciousness. Then, his expression changed. Senior brother, aren't the missions for new outer sect disciples limited to those below the Bright World realm? You're asking me to kill a half-step to the Blessed Realm beast? Swoosh! Before Murong-yu could finish his words, everyone in the mission hall turned to look at him. Some of these gazes were filled with disdain, while others were filled with sympathy. This poor guy must have offended some powerful intersect disciple. Otherwise, why would they assign him such a suicidal mission? If he can't complete the mission, he'll be expelled from the Sun Sect. If he goes to complete the mission, he'll be killed by a half-step to the Blessed Realm beast. Someone shook his head speechlessly and looked at Murong-yu pitifully. The disciple in the mission hall who assigned the half-step mission to Murong-yu's face instantly darkened. What's wrong? Are you questioning the fairness of the mission hall? This is a mission given to you by the mission hall. If you don't do it, you can leave the Sun Sect immediately. Murong-yu looked at the disciple in the mission hall with an ashen face. He didn't have any interaction with this person, so it definitely wasn't because of him. Then, the only person he could think of was Yi Tian. You wanted to die? Murong-yu sneered in his heart. Perhaps Yi Tian didn't know that although Murong-yu was only at level 9 Chaotic Space Realm, his battle strength was comparable to a half-step to the Blessed Realm Expert. This mission might be a little difficult for him, but it definitely wouldn't kill him. However, Murong-yu was not happy. Didn't Yi Tian want to kill him? Use a conspiracy? Then he would use a conspiracy to show everyone how despicable Yi Tian was. Moreover, as long as Murong-yu completed the mission and returned, he would ruthlessly slap Yi Tian in the face. Moreover, since Yi Tian wanted to kill him, Murong-yu would definitely not let him go. Fairness and fairness? You dare talk about fairness and fairness with someone like you? Did Yi Tian tell you to do this? Yi Tian is just an intersect disciple, but he has the ability to influence the mission hall. Is this the fairness of the mission hall? Murong-yu said coldly as he looked at the gloomy disciple from the mission hall. The disciple from the mission hall looked at Murong-yu with a gloomy face and murderous intent. Murong-yu, your mission was randomly selected by me. It has nothing to do with anyone else. I'll give you two choices. One is to immediately complete the mission, and the other is to voluntarily leave the Sun Sect. Senior brother, I would like to ask you a question. If it were you, would you be able to complete this mission? Do you really think I'm a 3-year-old child who doesn't know anything and can be easily fooled by you? I'm only at level 9 Chaotic Space Realm. Why would I randomly receive a half-step to the Blessed Realm Disciple's mission? That's a mission that even ordinary intersect disciples can't get. This is too much. Even among the intersect disciples, there were only a few who could complete this task. You actually let a new outer sect disciple complete it? What kind of joke is this? That's right. I strongly request that you change the mission. This person is too stubborn and has been manipulated by others. He is no longer suitable for the mission hall. I strongly request that you remove this person from the mission hall. Today, it's this junior brother. What if tomorrow, it's also our turn to receive a mission that will definitely kill us? We strongly request for fairness and justice. Finally, some people shouted angrily. Then, the crowd rallied and echoed. This was human nature. It was easy to sympathize with the weak. This was especially true for those who were also alone. It was easier for them to sympathize with the weak and unite against a common enemy. Seeing that he had successfully angered the crowd, Muronyu waved his hand and said in a low voice, "Senior brothers, Yi Tian is clearly using his status and power as an inner sect disciple to publicly suppress new disciples like me. Do you know why? Because just a while ago, his younger brother wanted to teach me a lesson, but I taught him a lesson instead. Then, Yi Tian sent people to cause trouble for me, but I beat them back. Yi Tian also knows that he can't kill me in the Sun Sect, so he's using someone else to do the dirty work." Hearing Murongyu's words, the crowd in the mission hall became even angrier. "But I, Murongyu, am not afraid of anything. Yi Tian is just an inner sect disciple. He can't do whatever he wants, and this coward is afraid that I'll threaten him when I grow. Since he's so afraid of me, why should I be afraid of him? Didn't he give me this mission? I want everyone in the upper echelons of the Sun Sect to see that I, Murongyu, can complete the mission that Yi Tian can't. Although I, Murongyu, am not as strong as Yi Tian in my eyes, Yi Tian is just a trash who is far inferior to me and is afraid of me." Chapter 1928. Murongyu quickly left the Sun Sect and embarked on his mission. In the end, he did not change his mission. It was still the same mission as before. In fact, everyone's anger had been stirred up by him. If he took the opportunity to change his mission, the mission hall would definitely change his mission due to the pressure. Because in the end, all the big shots in the mission hall came out. The disciple who gave Murongyu the mission was scolded badly. However, this confirmed that Yi Tian was behind this. Murongyu had already achieved his goal. He did not even make a move, but he had already given Yi Tian a resounding slap. This time, Yi Tian had suffered a double loss. At this time, he was probably feeling depressed. In fact, Murongyu did not change his mission not only because he wanted to make Yi Tian jealous again, but also because this mission was beneficial to him. The destination of the mission was the Sky Martial World. Moreover, his mission was not to kill a half-step into Creation Realm ferocious beast, but to steal a medicinal herb guarded by a half-step into Creation Realm ferocious beast. If that was the case, even a Chaos Realm cultivator could do it. However, if he really had to kill a half-step into Creation Realm ferocious beast, even if Murongyu had the ability, he would not accept it, because that would expose his powerful strength. It was not worth it. Moreover, going to the Sky Martial World was better than going to other worlds. As for the other places, one would have to go through a series of teleportation arrays to get there. Murongyu had a transportation array in the Sky Martial World. He could directly use the Hichu Luoshu to get there. Most importantly, the 6 great ancestors almost killed him back then. This time, he must take the opportunity to kill them. At the same time that Murongyu left the Sun Sect for the Sky Martial World, a message flew out from the Sun Sect and was transmitted to the Sky Martial World. In the Sky Martial World, the 6 old ancestors gathered together again. Murongyu is coming back. What do you think? The 6 old ancestors already knew that Murongyu was coming back. Was it Yi Tian who deliberately spread the news? Or was it Sky King and the others? However, it didn't matter who it was. In any case, Murongyu would find them sooner or later. Murongyu is a disciple of the Sun Sect. This is going to be difficult. Tianhai frowned as he spoke. Of the 6 people, his desire to kill Murongyu was the greatest, but his misgivings were not small. This time, Murongyu is going to complete the mission. We don't need to do anything. We just need him to do something while he's doing the mission. Let him die in the process of completing the mission without anyone knowing. Even the Sun Sect won't be able to do anything to us, Black Ice Ancestor said coldly. Many patriarchs nodded slightly, thinking that it was a good idea. Don't be in a hurry to kill this little bastard. I have to read his memories and find out where the witch is. Furthermore, this little bastard still has the devil vine. We must definitely snatch it over. The patriarch of the bipolar sect said with a murderous look. Whoosh! A figure appeared out of thin air in Heaven Marshal City. This person was Murongyu. With my strength, 10 years is enough for me to complete the mission. I wonder if the 6 patriarchs have made any arrangements? Yes, it's best to wait for them to make arrangements and then kill them all. That way, I won't have to travel back and forth. Now, let's go take a look at the other ferocious beasts. The little brat seems to be waking up. Murongyu glanced at the picture of the devil vine on his arm, then took a step forward and disappeared. After withstanding the attack of the 6 patriarchs and saving Murongyu, the devil vine fell into a deep slumber. That was because the devil vine was too severely injured. During this period, Murongyu kept feeding the devil vine with his blood. The devil vine finally recovered and would wake up soon. The devil vine was originally a half-step to the manifestation realm. However, after recognizing its master, its realm had regressed significantly. Even if it woke up, it would not reach the bright world realm. The devil vine's power was extremely terrifying. It was one of Murongyu's trump cards. Of course, the devil vine could not become Murongyu's trump card yet. Therefore, he had to increase the devil vine's strength. There were 2 ways for the devil vine to increase its strength. One was to absorb the heaven and earth essence chi, like a cultivator, to increase his realm. However, this method required an extremely long time to increase his realm. Murongyu gave up on this method. Then, the other method was to absorb the blood and essence of powerhouses. The so-called powerhouses did not only include cultivators, but also ferocious beasts. Otherwise, if he killed people, wouldn't Murongyu become a homicidal maniac? Of course, if it was killing ferocious beasts, Murongyu would not have any psychological pressure. After all, cultivators and ferocious beasts were enemies. After meeting, it was either you die or I live. Killing ferocious beasts and absorbing their blood to increase the devil vine strength was the best method. In fact, Murongyu had an even better method. That was to kill the ferocious beasts in the boundless starry sky. For example, there were supreme existences like desolation. However, the ferocious beasts in the starry sky were not dense. Instead, there were a large number of ferocious beasts and even stronger ferocious beasts. Once he encountered a creation realm ferocious beast, Murongyu would be in trouble. Therefore, he did not go to the starry sky to kill the ferocious beasts. Instead, he chose to go to the Sky Martial World. In the Sky Martial World, the strongest ferocious beasts were only half a step to the creation realm. They did not pose any threat to him. Murongyu quickly entered a dangerous place and spread out his immense divine sense. Soon, he discovered a group of bright world realm ferocious beasts. With a step, Murongyu appeared in the middle of the group of bright world realm ferocious beasts. Roar! Seeing a human cultivator suddenly appear here, the ferocious beasts immediately roared angrily and pounced on Murongyu. A cold light flashed past Murongyu's eyes. He reached out his hand and pressed it down. Poof! 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 These bright world realm ferocious beasts did not even have time to react before they were crushed by Murongyu. Clouds of blood mist instantly exploded in the void. Brat, it's here, Murongyu said with a smile as he looked at the pattern formed by the demonic vine in his hand. Whoosh! Before Murongyu finished speaking, billions of vines had already extended from his arm. In the blink of an eye, the vines had covered the blood. In the next moment, the blood was completely devoured, leaving nothing behind. After devouring the energy, the originally weak, demonic vine instantly became more energetic and ferocious. However, its cultivation level did not increase. However, this was not a problem. Murongyu continued to move forward. In the following period of time, he continued to encounter some bright world realm ferocious beasts. Without exception, these bright world realm ferocious beasts all became a feast for the demonic vine. When Murongyu swept through the entire land of extremists, The demonic vine had successfully broken through to Bright World Realm Level 1. When billions of vines extended out, the demonic vine's strength was comparable to that of an advanced Bright World Realm cultivator. Although it was not as strong as Murongyu, it was close. It's a pity that Tianwu World is only Trinity Star. There are not many half-step to creation realm ferocious beasts. Murongyu sighed. However, with the half-step to creation realm ferocious beast and the blood essence of the six ancestors, I wonder if the demonic vine can advance to Bright World Realm Level 5. After this period of time, Murongyu realized that the demonic vine had a huge appetite just like him. Although the demonic vine's appetite was not as big as his, it still had a huge appetite. Otherwise, the blood essence of so many Bright World Realm ferocious beasts would have pushed him to advanced Bright World Realm. However, the blood essence of low-level or even mid-level Bright World Realm ferocious beasts could not advance the demonic vine's cultivation level. A few days have passed. According to the time of the teleportation, I should have reached Tianwu World by now, right? Let's go and wander around now. In the next moment, Murongyu appeared in Tianwu City again. Murongyu has appeared. The six ancestors have been staying in Tianwu City. When they saw Murongyu appear in Tianwu City, they were elated. They were already used to why Murongyu did not come out directly from the teleportation formation. After all, this guy's ability to change his appearance was too abnormal. If he changed into someone else, even they would not be able to resist. Swoosh! When Murongyu appeared in Tianwu City, he realized that he was locked on by 6 extremely powerful spiritual senses. He sneered in his heart as he knew that it was the spiritual senses of the 6 ancestors. However, he pretended that he did not know and wandered around Tianwu City as if nothing had happened. It was the same for a few days. The 6 great ancestors followed behind him the whole time. Does this little bastard still want to complete the mission? Why is he wandering around all day? After a few days, the Black Tortoise Tower's ancestor finally exploded. He could not help but want to go out and kill Murongyu. However, he was stopped by the others. If they killed Murongyu in front of everyone, the experts of the Sun Sect would immediately rush over. In a single night, the 6 of them, and even the entire Tianwu world, would be wiped out by the Sun Sect. This kid is not nervous at all. Does he not want to complete the mission? Ancestor Tianhai said with some doubt. For the past few days, Murongyu had done nothing but stroll around Heaven Marshal City. He was extremely carefree, unless he wants to be expelled from the Sun Sect. However, this kid is not stupid. Could it be that he has already guessed that we are here and does not dare to leave Tianwu City to complete the mission? If that's the case, what should we do? It's fine. If he does not want to be expelled from the Sun Sect, he can only complete the mission. We have plenty of time. We can afford to wait. As expected, after a few days, Murongyu left Tianwu City alone and headed towards the location of the mission. In the past few days, Murongyu wandered around Tianwu City. In fact, he was not wandering around, but secretly doing something. He did something that made the 6 ancestors vomit blood and want to slap Murongyu to death. In the past few days, Murongyu had secretly left Tianwu City to empty the treasuries of the 5 major powers. The reason why it was the 5 major powers was because the Tianhai sect's treasury had long been emptied by Murongyu. The 6 ancestors were monitoring Murongyu every day, so they did not know about this matter. Chapter 1929. Murongyu could have already emptied the Sky Sea clan's treasury without anyone noticing, let alone now that his strength had increased by such a large margin. If no one entered the treasury, the 5 superpowers would not know that the treasury that they had been guarding day and night had been emptied. I wonder if the 5 old men will be angered to death when they find out. Murongyu slowly flew toward the location of the mission. At the same time, he snickered in his heart. As for whether the mission could be completed within the time limit, Murongyu did not take the threat of the 6 ancestors to heart. This was because he had absolute confidence. The Black Thunder Mountain Range was Murongyu's target this time. Speaking of the Black Thunder Mountain Range, it was a dangerous place that was similar to the Golden Embryo Secret Realm in the Tianwu world. However, the Golden Embryo Secret Realm was a secret realm, while the Black Thunder Mountain Range was only a mountain range and a dangerous place. At this moment, Murong stopped outside the Black Thunder Mountain Range. Looking at the large area in front of him that was covered by the Black Thunder Mountain, Murong's face could not help but become serious. The power of heaven and earth passed through the endless void, causing Murong's soul to tremble. Ordinary Bright World Realm cultivators will be directly killed by the Black Thunder Mountain Range. Even a half-step to Creation Realm ancestor would be in danger if he rushed in. There is even a possibility of death. Moreover, in addition to the Black Thunder Mountain Range, there are a large number of Black Thunder Beasts. The strongest Black Thunder Beast has reached the half-step to Creation Realm, which is quite terrifying. Murong thought in his heart. It was because of these reasons that the Black Thunder Mountain Range was even more terrifying than the Golden Embryo Secret Realm. Almost no one dared to enter the Black Thunder Mountain Range. One could not withstand the terrifying pressure of the Black Thunder Mountain Range, and the other could not withstand the attacks of the Black Thunder Beasts. The Flaming Sun magical fruit that Murong needed for the mission was in the deepest part of the Black Thunder Mountain Range, guarded by a half-step to Creation Realm Black Thunder Beast. If it was someone else, even a half-step to Creation Realm cultivator, it would definitely be impossible to complete this mission. But for Murong, although there was a certain amount of danger, he still had a high chance of completing it. I'll first use the 6 ancestors to fight against the half-step manifestation realm ferocious beast. Once I obtain the Flaming Sun fruit, I'll get rid of all of them and raise the demonic vines cultivation. Murong muttered in his heart. His feet had already taken a step forward. In a flash, he had already charged into the mysterious Thunder Mountain Range. The 6 ancestors who had been following him closely also followed without any hesitation. Rumble, the incomparably terrifying profound lightning, struck Murong from all directions like raging waves. Even though Murong was already prepared, the energy shield that he had formed around his body was instantly torn apart. The terrifying profound lightning directly bombarded Murong's body. Murong's body violently trembled. Then, there was no more then. Murong was safe and sound. This little bastard's physical body is actually this frightening. The jaws of the 6 ancestors dropped to the ground when they saw this scene from behind Murong. Even as strong as they were, they did not dare to use their bodies to fight. All of them exploded with absolute power, forming a huge energy shield around their bodies to resist the attack of the profound lightning. I heard that this little bastard's strength is terrifying, comparable to a mid-stage Bright World Realm cultivator. It should have something to do with his powerful body, another ancestor said in a low voice. Profound lightning is only SOSO. Murong laughed after his body directly resisted the impact of the profound lightning. Aside from the fact that he couldn't help but tremble when he was electrocuted, the profound lightning couldn't harm his body at all. In other words, Murong had regained his youth due to the blazing flames. But after leaving the Burning Fire Dojo, Murong had transformed his body back to his original size. But in reality, his real body was still like that of a 15 or 16-year-old. He needed to devour a huge amount of energy to return to his peak state. And these profound lightning just so happened to be a great supplement. Therefore, Murong no longer resisted the impact of the profound lightning. Instead, he bathed himself in the profound lightning. At the same time, his body began to devour frantically. However, the profound lightning in the outermost area of the Black Thunder Mountain Range was too weak, and its effect on Murong was almost negligible. Therefore, Murong's footsteps became faster and faster. In the end, he turned into a stream of light and charged into the deepest part of the Black Thunder Mountain Range. The 6 ancestors behind him were all dumbfounded. They were all stunned by Murong. However, the more monstrous and abnormal Murong displayed, the stronger their desire to kill Murong. This was because they already had an irreconcilable enmity with Murong. Moreover, their descendants were also in the Sun sect with Muronyu. What if Muronyu killed their descendants after he became powerful? Muronyu must die. The 6 ancestors looked at each other. Their desire to kill Muronyu grew stronger. During this process, Muronyu finally encountered some Black Thunder Beasts. These Black Thunder Beasts were similar to ordinary ferocious beasts. However, they all had the ability of profound lightning. Moreover, in the Black Thunder Mountain range, almost every ferocious beast had the combat strength of a small realm above them. It was very terrifying. There was no need for Muronyu to hold back. As long as he encountered a ferocious beast, he killed all of them. The essence and blood of the Black Thunder Beasts were devoured by the demonic vine. All of this was naturally seen by the 6 ancestors who followed him. However, in Muronyu's eyes, the 6 of them were bound to die. So what if they saw it? Could a dead person reveal a secret? Not bad. I'm almost 17 years old. Looking at his body that had grown, Muronyu smiled gloomily. It was precisely after devouring a large amount of profound, lightning energy that his physical body slowly grew and developed. However, at this moment, Muronyu had stopped devouring the profound lightning energy. This was because he had arrived at the deepest part of the Black Thunder Mountain range. There was a valley in front of him. Muronyu took out his identity token, activated the mission, and checked the map. After realizing that this place was exactly the same as the map, he walked in directly. However, as soon as he entered the valley, an extremely strong sense of danger emerged from the bottom of his heart and enveloped his entire mind. Muronyu stopped in his tracks and looked ahead with a grave expression. Is there a change in front? If it's just a ferocious beast in the creation realm, it wouldn't make me feel so threatened. Did that Black Thunder beast break through and reach the creation realm? Swoosh! As soon as this thought appeared in Muronyu's mind, an extremely terrifying pressure came out of the valley. Muronyu's soul trembled violently. The aura of the creation realm. Without any hesitation, Muronyu's figure suddenly rose into the air and shot towards the 6 ancestors behind him. Roar! At the same time, a Black Thunder beast that was as huge as a small mountain jumped out of the valley. Its entire body flashed with terrifying lightning, and an extremely terrifying aura was constantly emitted from its body. Although its strength fluctuated and was not stable, it was definitely a creation realm. However, it was definitely the aura of someone in the Blessed Realm. Muronyu was willing to bet his life on it. Whoosh! The Black Thunder beast immediately attacked. It stretched out a large hand that flashed with lightning and grabbed Muronyu in the air. Muronyu let out a strange cry and increased his speed to the maximum. With a whoosh, he disappeared on the spot and avoided the Black Thunder beast's attack. This Black Thunder beast was most likely a ferocious beast that had just broken through to the creation realm. Apart from the instability of its strength, it could not control it skillfully. Otherwise, even if Muronyu's speed increased to that of a half step to the creation realm, he would not be able to escape. When he reappeared, Muronyu was already in front of the 6 ancestors. Hello, everyone. Long time no see. Goodbye. Muronyu gave a strange smile to Hai Tian and the others. Then, before the 6 ancestors could react, his figure flashed and disappeared again. The 6 ancestors' first reaction was, "This little bastard has already discovered us." However, he had discovered them and rushed over just to say hello. The 6 ancestors were instantly thrown into disarray. However, at this moment, the profound lightning beast at the creation stage let out an earth-shattering roar. A terrifying aura swept out, blasting the 6 old ancestors away. A creation realm Black Thunder beast? The 6 ancestors instantly reacted and exclaimed in unison. Then, they turned around at the same time and shot out of the Black Thunder Mountain. What about killing Muronyu? Forget about it. Their lives were still the most precious. As for Muronyu, if he did not die, there would be plenty of opportunities to kill him in the future. However, although the 6 ancestors were fast, the creation realm Black Thunder Beast was even faster. The huge hand reached out and slapped down from the sky. The huge hand covered the sky and the earth and instantly enveloped the six ancestors. The six ancestors roared and stopped running. Instead, they unleashed their strongest power at the same time. At the same time, they took out their creation realm origin weapons and blasted them at the huge hand that was slapping down. Only Ancestor Tion Hai did not have a creation realm origin weapon. He could only use a peak bright world realm origin weapon to attack. Boom! After an earth-shattering boom, the power of the six great ancestors was directly shattered. The terrifying impact instantly sent the five patriarchs flying. Poof! 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 The six ancestors spat out blood and increased their strength again. Then they turned around and fled. Although there were six of them, the difference between a half-step to the creation realm and a true creation realm was too great. Even if there were 60 of them, they would not be able to survive the Black Thunder Beast's attack. After all, the Black Thunder Beast had the combat power of a small realm above it. In other words, even if the Black Thunder Beast had just broken through to the creation realm, it already had the terrifying combat power of a second-stage creation realm. How could the six of them be a match for it? Therefore, they could only run. Chapter 1930. Roar. The profound lightning beast let out an earth-shattering roar when it saw the six ancestors running for their lives. The terrifying sound waves caused ripples to appear in the void. The profound lightning beast was probably the first to break through to the creation realm in Trinity Star. It was definitely the strongest in Tianwu World. Split up and run. The six ancestors panicked when they saw the profound lightning beast charging towards them. One of them even shouted. Then, the six of them turned into 6 rays of light and shot towards 6 different directions. They did not dare to stay and fight with the profound lightning beast. If they did, they might all die while the profound lightning beast would be unharmed. However, why would the profound lightning beast let them escape? After a furious roar, a pair of claws slapped towards the 6 ancestors. Rumble! Immediately, 6 bolts of lightning shot out from the profound lightning beast's hand. They shot towards the 6 ancestors at lightning speed. At the same time, the profound lightning in the area started to vibrate. It was like a violent storm was raining down on the 6 ancestors. The profound lightning beast can control the profound lightning in the area around it. Ancestor Tianhai's face changed, and he shouted in fear. The faces of the other patriarchs turned ugly as well. Kill! The surrounding profound lightning crazily rushed over, causing their speed to become extremely slow. On the contrary, the profound lightning beast's speed increased by several times. In the blink of an eye, it had reached them. Under such circumstances, if the 6 ancestors wanted to continue running, they could only take the profound lightning beast's attack head-on. That was the full force attack of a creation realm cultivator. Although the 6 ancestors were confident in their strength, they were not strong enough to take the full force attack of a creation realm ferocious beast head-on. Therefore, the 6 of them all roared in anger, turned around, and punched out. Rumble! The 6 ancestors spat out blood again and were sent flying. At that moment, the profound lightning beast had already charged towards them. Its 2 furry claws, which were flashing with terrifying lightning, slapped the 6 ancestors again. The 6 ancestors looked dispirited. They had already suffered serious injuries. Let's gather together and attack this beast together. The 6 old ancestors knew that it was impossible for them to escape on their own today. Therefore, they could only gather the strength of the 6 of them to kill this creation realm ferocious beast. As expected, the 6 ancestors were truly worthy of being the strongest 6 people in the Tianwu world. After joining forces and taking out 5 origin tools, they were actually able to fight evenly with the profound lightning beast. However, this was only temporary. The 6 old ancestors knew this very well. Thus, they fought while recovering from their injuries. At the same time, he slowly retreated outside. As long as they left the Black Lightning Mountain Range, they would have some confidence in killing the Black Lightning Beast. After all, the Black Thunder Beast had just broken through to the creation realm. Its power was not stable yet, and it could not unleash the true power of the creation realm. Furthermore, if it wasn't in the Black Thunder Mountain range, there wouldn't be any Black Thunder to boost its strength. At that time, it would be much weaker. Fortunately, I didn't kill the 6 old ancestors. Murong Yu, who was hiding in the Hichu Luo Shu, secretly felt lucky as he watched the 6 old ancestors and the Black Lightning Beast fight. If he had killed the 6 old ancestors, Murong Yu naturally had the means to kill them one by one. Of course, he could have used a sneak attack or other methods. He would never let the 6 of them join forces. When the 6 of them joined forces and relied on their creation tools, they were actually able to contend against the creation realm Black Lightning Beast. Other than the fact that the Black Lightning Beast could not unleash the true power of the creation realm, there was a large possibility that the 6 old ancestors could already unleash a portion of the power of the creation tools. Therefore, after seeing this scene, Murong Yu stopped underestimating them. A half step to the creation realm cultivator was not so weak. Murong Yu was lucky that if he had killed the 6 old ancestors, then no one would be able to contend against the creation realm Black Lightning Beast. However, how did the Black Lightning Beast break through? The heaven-earth's chi of heaven and earth in the Tianwu world could not produce a creation realm cultivator. Could it be because of the Black Lightning? Murong Yu looked at the endless black lightning outside, the Hichu Luo Shu, and fell into deep thought. Looking at the Black Lightning mountain range from afar, it looked like a gigantic pot lid. The endless Black Lightning mountain range drowned out the Black Lightning mountain range. However, the Black Lightning did not fall from the sky. It was as if the Black Lightning mountain range had nurtured them. However, it was said that a long time ago, the Black Lightning mountain range was only the most ordinary mountain range in the Tianwu world. There was no Black Lightning at all. Moreover, the Black Lightning mountain range was not seen at that time. Then, what was the reason for the Black Lightning mountain range? Could it be that there's a treasure in the Black Lightning mountain range? A lightning-type treasure? Is it that treasure that turned this place into a world of lightning? Murong Yu suddenly had this thought. Yes, it must be because of this. Now, let's go and get the flaming sun fruit first. Then, we'll think of a way to explore the Black Lightning mountain range. Murong Yu's heart was burning with excitement. Immediately, he unleashed his speed and rushed into the valley where the flaming sun fruit was. As soon as he entered, Murong Yu saw a fruit about the size of a fist that was emitting a dazzling light like the sun. From afar, the flaming sun fruit looked like a small sun. Furthermore, the flaming sun fruit was emitting a blazing light like the sun. This is a world of lightning. How could it nurture such a fruit? Murong Yu pondered in his heart. However, he did not have much time to think about it. Instead, he reached out and grabbed the flaming sun fruit. Even though the battle outside was still going on, who knew if the profound thunder beast of the creation realm would suddenly come back? The process of collecting the flaming sun fruit was very smooth because the flaming sun fruit was only guarded by the Black Lightning Beast. Now that the Black Lightning Beast was entangled by the 6 old ancestors, there was naturally nothing that could stop Murong Yu. With his swoosh, the flaming sun fruit had already been collected by Murong Yu into the Hichu Luo Shu. However, Murong Yu only plucked the flaming sun fruit and did not uproot the fruit tree. This kind of tree only grew in endless lightning and could not survive in other environments. After collecting the flaming sun fruit, Murong Yu and the flaming sun fruit disappeared at the same time and re-entered the Hichu Luo Shu. Then, Hichu Luo Shu teleported and immediately disappeared. Roar! The moment Murong Yu plucked the flaming sun fruit, the Black Lightning Beast in the distance roared fiercely. Obviously, it had suddenly discovered that the flaming sun fruit had been plucked. The Black Lightning Beast's sudden roar caused the 6 old ancestors' blood to churn, and they almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Swoosh! Before the 6 old ancestors could react, the Black Lightning Beast fiercely slapped at them with its claw. At the same time, the Black Lightning Beast's body flashed and disappeared. The 6 old ancestors were stunned. For a moment, they didn't know what was going on. Could that little bastard Murong Yu be collecting the flaming sun fruit? The 6 old ancestors looked at each other and made a guess that was equivalent to the truth. The Sky's Sea Old Ancestor nodded. It's best if that little bastard is slapped to death by the black lightning beast's claw so that we don't have to do anything. Damn it, that sneaky little bastard. They had been tricked by Murong Yu and were almost killed by the black lightning beast. This made them hate Murong Yu to the core. If Murong Yu is killed, then we won't be able to get the devil vine. The dual polarity sect old ancestor slightly frowned. Do we have to go save him? The 6 of us together could only block the black lightning beast's attack. The mysterious island old ancestor said with a gloomy tone. The others looked at each other and didn't know what to do. If Murong Yu is killed, then the devil vine will definitely be torn to shreds by the enraged black lightning beast. And we also fought a big battle with the black lightning beast. The black lightning beast will definitely hold a grudge against us. When the time comes, it will definitely come back for revenge. With its strength, no one in the entire Sky Martial world is a match for it. In my opinion, we should retreat first and immediately report to the Sun Sect so that they can send a Creation Realm expert to kill the black lightning beast. The Black Tortoise Tower Old Ancestor said in a deep voice. The black lightning beast gave him a very dangerous feeling. Compared to his own life, the devil vine was nothing. The other 5 old ancestors pondered for a moment and then nodded and immediately prepared to leave. None of you will be able to escape. All of you will die. At this moment, a low, oppressive, and furious voice rang out in their ears. At the same time, a monstrous claw tore through the void and smashed down with a terrifying power that could destroy heaven and earth. The black lightning beast. The 6 old ancestors' faces changed. In just a few moments, the black lightning beast had returned. Murong Yu was killed by it? Or did Murong Yu run away again? Hearing the black lightning beast's furious voice, the 6 old ancestors guessed that Murong Yu must have run away again. That damned little bastard. The 6 old ancestors gnashed their teeth and roared angrily. They once again fought with the black lightning beast. They couldn't escape at all. At this moment, the 6 old ancestors were filled with regret. If they didn't hesitate after the black lightning beast left and immediately ran away, they would have left the Black Lightning Mountain Range long ago. But now, they couldn't escape even if they wanted to. Because the flaming sun fruit was taken by Murong Yu, the Black Lightning Beast was very angry at this moment. And in its anger, the Black Lightning Beast's battle strength increased again. Not long after, the 6 old ancestors were beaten to a miserable state. It was very difficult for them to resist. In the end, old ancestor Tian Hai, who didn't have a Creation Realm origin artifact, was the first to be unable to resist. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Moreover, what shocked and angered them was that the Black Lightning Beast's battle strength was getting stronger. Originally, the Black Lightning Beast should have just broken through and hadn't had time to consolidate its realm. Therefore, it couldn't unleash its Creation Realm strength. But in the battle, the Black Lightning Beast's realm was consolidated, and its battle strength was getting stronger. Gradually, it was able to unleash its true Creation Realm strength. As a result, the 6 old ancestors became more and more miserable. It became more and more difficult for them to resist. Chapter 1931. Bang! The old ancestor was careless and was directly hit by the profound lightning beast's claw. The terrifying lightning energy immediately rushed into his body. After an explosion, half of the old ancestor's body was blown to pieces. He was instantly heavily injured. Because of the old ancestor, the 6 old ancestors' defense immediately showed a flaw. The profound lightning beast seized this opportunity and continuously attacked. The terrifying energy crazily rushed over, and the 6 old ancestors were immediately injured and vomited blood. The profound lightning beast was not injured at all. On the contrary, it became more and more vigorous. It was extremely terrifying. If this continued, the 6 old ancestors would eventually die, but the profound lightning beast's life would not be in danger. The 6 old ancestors' faces were gloomy as they continuously attacked the profound lightning beast. At the same time, they continuously retreated. They wanted to escape. However, the profound lightning beast was not stupid. It intentionally or unintentionally forced them into the depths of the profound lightning mountain range. Therefore, after fighting for half a day, the 6 old ancestors did not retreat at all. They only circled around in place. What do we do? If this continues, the 6 of us will definitely die here. Old ancestor Tian Hai anxiously said. At this time, the 6 old ancestors did not think of escaping alone. It was not because they were loyal, but because once they lost one person, their defense would instantly be torn apart by the profound lightning beast. Then, the 6 of them would all die. In the distance, Mu Rongyu, who was hiding in the Hichu Luo Shu, frowned slightly. The profound lightning beast strength has already stabilized. The 6 old ancestors' defeat is a matter of time. There is a huge gap between the half-step to creation realm and the true creation realm. If the profound lightning beast is not dead, then I will not be able to explore this world and find the lightning treasure. Everyone, it's time to make a decision. If this continues, we will definitely die. I suggest that we immediately self-destruct our creation realm Yuan artifacts and kill this beast. Old ancestor Tian Hai angrily said. They still had other trump cards, but those trump cards had no effect on the profound thunder beast at the creation realm. Self-destruct their creation realm Yuan artifacts? The other 4 patriarchs with creation realm origin artifacts began to ponder. It could be said that in the entire heaven martial world, there were only a few creation-level origin tools in their hands. Once they self-detonated, they would no longer have such a powerful origin tool in the future, which would greatly affect their combat strength. However, if they did not self-detonate, they would all die here. At that time, even if they were given Yuan weapons that surpassed the creation realm, they would not be able to use them, let alone creation realm Yuan weapons. All right. After pondering for a while, the 5 ancestors agreed. Only Patriarch Sky Sea was somewhat bitter. His creation-level origin artifact was in Mu Rongyu's hands. Thus, the great battle continued. The 5 origin tools of the creation stage bombarded the profound thunder beast as usual. All of a sudden, when the 5 origin tools arrived beside the profound lightning beast, the 5 ancestors shouted at the same time, "Explode!" Boom, 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 boom. The 5 origin tools of the creation stage exploded at the same time. One had to know that a creation-level origin artifact was equivalent to a creation-level cultivator. It was just that the 5 ancestors could not unleash their full power. However, the self-detonation of a creation-level origin artifact was equivalent to the self-detonation of a creation-level cultivator. 5 origin artifacts were equivalent to the self-detonation of 5 creation-level cultivators at the same time. How terrifying was this power? Anyway, Mu Rongyu did not dare to stay where he was. After understanding the thoughts of the 5 ancestors, Mu Rongyu immediately activated the teleportation function of Hichu Luo Shu and teleported away from the profound Thunder Mountain range. He did not want to be implicated and killed by the explosion. A gigantic mushroom cloud rose into the sky and almost covered half of the profound Thunder Mountain range. The terrifying power dispersed the thunder and lightning in the profound Thunder Mountain range. The mountains were razed to the ground. Bang! A frightening shock wave rushed over. Due to a moment of carelessness, Mu Rongyu was blown away. Everyone makes mistakes, Mu Rongyu flew back with an embarrassed smile and looked at the profound Thunder Mountain range. I wonder how the 6 ancestors and the profound Thunder Beast are doing. Have they been blasted to smithereens? If that's the case, it's such a pity. The little rascal's food is gone again. As Mu Rongyu pondered, a look of shock appeared on his face. This was because he saw that the endless thunder and lightning that had been destroyed by the self-detonation of the 5 creation-level origin artifacts actually covered the entire profound Thunder Mountain range in such a short time. Other than the mountain range being flattened, everything else was the same as before. This confirmed Mu Rongyu's guess. There was most likely a thunder-type treasure buried under the profound Thunder Mountain range. After the shock wave disappeared, Muronyu took a step forward and disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he was already at the place where the 5 creation-level origin artifact had self-detonated. They're not dead yet? When Muronyu appeared, he could not help but be shocked. This was because he saw that the 6 ancestors and the profound Thunder Beast were still there. They were not dead. What a cockroach. However, why weren't they killed by the explosion? That was the self-detonation of 5 creation-level origin artifacts. These guys still have a trump card. Muronyu guessed in his heart, but he was already walking toward the crowd with a smile. It's Muronyu, that little bastard. Roar. After seeing Muronyu, the 6 ancestors and the creation-level profound Thunder Beast let out a furious roar to welcome Muronyu. It was because of Muronyu that they had ended up like this. Hee, you never expected this, right? You wanted to kill me, but I killed you in the end? Life is unpredictable. I especially remember how you almost killed me in the Golden Embryo Mystic Realm. Now, do you have any last words? Oh, that's right. Old Man Tianhai. I don't know if you already know that your Tianhai sex treasure vault ended up in my hands. Thanks to your idiotic grandson. Muronyu walked over slowly and looked at Ancestor Tianhai with a mocking smile. Ancestor Tianhai could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. The other patriarchs looked at Old Man Tianhai with strange gazes. You old bastards, I also have a piece of good news for you. Do you still remember how I looked when I came to Heaven Marshal City after accepting the mission? I wandered around Heaven Marshal City for a few days. You fools also wandered around with me for a few days? Didn't you realize that that person was actually just a power clone of mine? The 6 ancestors' faces were extremely gloomy, while the 5 ancestors of the Limitless sect had a bad feeling in their hearts. Are you curious about where my real body went during those few days? You want to know? Perhaps you don't know about it? I've emptied your treasure trove. I'm so sorry. Muronyu sneered. He did not look embarrassed at all. The 5 ancestors spat out a mouthful of blood and looked at Muronyu with murderous eyes. They wanted to kill Muronyu with their eyes. At this point, they had to believe Muronyu's words. Roar. At this moment, the profound lightning beast in the creation realm not far from them roared furiously. At the same time, it swung its claws at Muronyu. Seeing this scene, the 6 ancestors were shocked, but they soon felt incomparably happy. Although the profound lightning beast recovered faster than them, it could still kill them in the end. However, it was Muronyu who died first, wasn't it? Muronyu abruptly turned around. At the same time, a chilling killing intent flashed across his eyes. Poof! A dull sound came from the profound lightning beast's body. At the same time, the profound lightning beast no longer had any signs of life. It seemed to be dead. Don't you think I'm relying on your fast recovery ability? Muronyu sneered. At the same time, he patted the image formed by the demonic vine. Then, the demonic vine transformed into countless vines and pierced into the profound lightning beast's body. It began to devour the profound lightning beast's blood essence. Soul attack. You're actually a soul cultivator? The 6 ancestors exclaimed in unison. Their faces were filled with fear. What was a soul cultivator? It was a terrifying existence that surpassed ordinary cultivators. How many cultivators were there in the Tianwu world? However, there had never been a soul cultivator. One could imagine how rare and precious soul cultivators were. Similarly, once a soul cultivator matured, they would become extremely terrifying. The 6 of them had actually foolishly offended a soul cultivator. In fact, the 6 ancestors had already enjoyed Muronyu's soul attack. However, at that time, they didn't think that Muronyu was a soul cultivator. They thought that he was just a Yuan tool with soul attack abilities. Not only was Muronyu's talent heaven-defying, but he was also a soul cultivator. Once he was discovered by the Sun Sect, he would definitely become a disciple that the Sun Sect would focus on nurturing. They had actually offended such a person. He really had eyes but couldn't see. Rumble. The blood essence of a creation realm profound thunder beast contained a terrifying power. In the process of devouring, the demonic vine's cultivation level began to break through crazily. In the blink of an eye, it had already reached the second level of the bright world realm. Moreover, the speed of its breakthrough didn't slow down. You will end up like the profound lightning beast. You will become nutrients for the demonic vine. I'll give you a chance. Kill yourselves. Looking at the 6 ancestors, Muron, you didn't show any mercy. Being merciful to the enemy was being cruel to oneself. Muron, you had always felt that this sentence was very true. Muron, you, I have a request. Please don't make things difficult for Dai Qingtian. Ancestor Tianhai suddenly aged a lot. He looked at Muron Yu with a pleading gaze. They were now nearing the end of their lives. They weren't Muron Yu's match at all. Moreover, they knew that Muron Yu wouldn't let them go. Therefore, they also appointed Dai Qingtian. Dai Qingtian was the Sea Heavenly King. If the Sea Heavenly King and the others hadn't foolishly gone against me, I wouldn't have attacked them. You just have to pray that your people aren't so foolish. Muron Yu said indifferently. It could be considered that he had agreed to Ancestor Tianhai's request. In fact, this wasn't a big deal. The Sea Heavenly King and the others weren't his match at all. If they came looking for trouble, Muron Yu wouldn't mind blasting them into dregs with one punch. Chapter 1932. The 6 patriarchs, who had already self-detonated their creation realm origin artifacts, could no longer escape from Muron Yu. This was because their trump cards were useless against a soul cultivator like Muron Yu. Didn't they see how Muron Yu had directly destroyed the soul of a creation realm black lightning beast? On the basis that they were not soul cultivators, the higher the cultivation realm, the stronger the soul. A creation realm black lightning bee soul was definitely countless times stronger than the 6 patriarchs. Therefore, even though the 6 patriarchs were extremely unwilling, they still stretched out their necks to be slaughtered. Muron Yu, I hope you can keep your promise. Patriarch Tianhai said in a low voice, then exchanged glances with the 6 patriarchs. The 6 patriarchs secretly communicated with each other with their eyes. Then, they each struck out with their palms, aiming for each other's heads. Seeing this, Muron Yu revealed a smile on his face. But soon, Muron Yu's expression changed. The 6 patriarchs' palms quickly stopped in the air. At the same time, their auras skyrocketed crazily. In just an instant, their auras had risen to the creation realm. At the same time, their bodies rapidly expanded, turning into huge rubber balls. Self-detonation. Muron Yu immediately reacted. But what made the 6 patriarchs uneasy was that Muron Yu did not show any shock. On the contrary, his face was calm. So calm that it scared the 6 patriarchs. Why? Muron Yu asked. We don't believe you, so even if we die, we'll drag you down with us. Patriarch Haitian said savagely. At this moment, Muron Yu also smiled, but his smile scared the 6 patriarchs. What a coincidence. You don't believe me, and I don't believe you. So, do you think you can self-detonate? The 6 patriarchs laughed savagely. But soon, they could no longer laugh, because at this moment, they were like deflated rubber balls. The rapidly rising power in their bodies was rapidly flowing out like a dam that had been released. What did you do? The expressions of the 6 ancestors changed. Muron Yu smiled faintly. I didn't do anything. I just imprisoned your souls. Now that your souls are under my control, as long as I'm willing, you won't be able to self-destruct. If you don't believe me, you can try. The 6 ancestors looked at Muron Yu with ugly expressions. At this time, how could they not know that they had failed miserably? The black-clothed young man in front of him not only had heaven-defying talent, but also a terrifying scheming mind. Unknowingly, he had already taken control of their souls. It was laughable that they had thought that they could drag Muron Yu down with them. Little did they know that Muron Yu had already seen all of this. Immediately, their hearts were filled with hatred. Originally, Muron Yu had already promised them that he would not cause trouble for Sea Heavenly King and the others. But now that this had happened, Muron, you would definitely not let Sea Sky King and the others off. Don't worry, I'm not as shameless as you. What I said before still counts. Now you can all die. As he spoke, Muron, you clenched his hand. Bang! Bang! Almost at the same time, the souls of the 6 ancestors were crushed by Muron Yu. Then, they were directly devoured by him. Although the souls of the 6 ancestors were not much, it was better than nothing. Moreover, Muron Yu needed their memories. Brat, I'll leave these to you. Muron Yu threw the bodies of the 6 ancestors to the demonic vine. Although Muron Yu would not take the initiative to kill innocent people and let the demonic vine devour their essence and blood, these were his enemies. Moreover, they were all despicable and shameless. Muron Yu let the demonic vine devour their essence and blood without any pressure. The demonic vine immediately devoured the essence and blood of the 6 ancestors happily. As for Muron Yu, he was digesting the memories of the 6 ancestors. However, although the 6 of them were the 6 strongest people in the Tianwu world, they also had a portion of their memories that were incomparably precious and recorded some secret realms and danger zones. However, Muron Yu's interest wasn't that great, but it was better than nothing. When Muron Yu finished digesting the memories of the 6 ancestors, he realized that the demonic vine had also finished digesting the essence and blood of the 6 ancestors and the creation realm profound lightning beast. The essence and blood of the 6 ancestors and the creation realm profound lightning beast, especially the profound lightning beast's essence and blood, actually pushed the demonic vine's cultivation level to the 7th level of the Bright World Realm. High-level Bright World Realm. Although it had not recovered to its peak, the strength of the demonic vine at this level was extremely terrifying. It was comparable to an ordinary half-step creation realm cultivator. However, Muron Yu still shook his head and said helplessly, Brat, why is your appetite so big? If it was an ordinary demonic vine, even if it couldn't break through to the creation realm, it should be able to reach the half-step creation realm, right? How am I supposed to endure this? Muron Yu was indeed somewhat embarrassed. He was the king of appetites, and now there was another king of appetites. His future days were going to be unbearable. Furthermore, the reason why the demonic vine had improved so quickly was because it was a high-level Bright World Realm cultivator. Once it surpassed its original level, it would be difficult to improve. Furthermore, the higher the level, the more essence and blood it needed to break through each level. Forget it. Let's go underground and see what's hidden there. Muron Yu shook his head helplessly and then took a step forward, creating a huge hole in the ground. His entire body sank into the abyss. There was lightning in the soil underground, and the soil was almost electrocuted by the lightning. However, this level of lightning did not cause any threat to Muron Yu's physical body. At most, it would numb him. Moreover, after Muron Yu took out the Hichu Luo Shu, the lightning did not have any effect on him. As they continued to descend, Muron Yu seemed to know where the thing he needed was. In fact, he really did know. That was because he read the Dark Thunder Beast's memory. From the Dark Thunder Beast's memory, he knew that the reason why the Dark Thunder Beast broke through to the creation realm was just as he had guessed. It was because of the lightning. The Dark Thunder Beast vaguely knew that there was a treasure buried under the Dark Thunder Mountain range. It was because of the treasure that the Dark Thunder Mountain was shrouded in lightning. However, although the Dark Thunder Beast wanted to get close to the treasure many times, it could not get close. In fact, the Dark Thunder Beast could not even see what the treasure was. Although the Dark Thunder Beast was a thunder-type beast, it was not immune to lightning. Therefore, it could not get close to the treasure at all. However, it knew that the treasure would weaken after a certain period of time. Today was the day that the treasure was weakened. If Muron Yu and the others had not barged in by mistake, the Dark Thunder Beast would have gone deeper into the ground to try to get the treasure again. The deeper they went, the more terrifying the lightning power was. In the beginning, Muron Yu seemed to be taking a leisurely stroll, but gradually his face turned solemn. In the end, his speed slowed down. After a day, he had reached the depth of the Dark Thunder Beast's limit. However, Moronu did not stop, but continued to sink. After 2 days, he had exceeded the Dark Thunder Beast's limit by several times. At this time, apart from taking out the Hichu Luoshu, Moronu even took out the weapon fragments. Even so, Moronu was under great pressure. The terrifying lightning kept attacking him, making it difficult for him to move, and his sinking speed was as slow as a snail. However, Moronu still gritted his teeth and continued to sink. However, a large amount of his power was consumed every moment. Fortunately, he had the Tree of Life in his body. The Tree of Life could devour a large amount of chaotic power from the endless chaos at every moment to replenish Moronu's body. Otherwise, Moronu's power would have dried up, and he would have to go back. Even at this point, Moronu still did not feel the existence of the treasure, not to mention seeing it. With the strength of my physical body, if I appear here naked, I will not be able to achieve the purpose of refining my body at all. I will even be blasted into powder by the lightning in a few breaths' time. Looking at the terrifying lightning around him, Moronu's face turned solemn. And this period of time was still the period when that supreme treasure was in a weakened state. If it was not for the weakening period, Moronu would not have been able to sink to this depth. I can only sink another 10,000 miles at most, and 10,000 miles is not even close to the treasure. Do I just leave like this? Or wait until I break through to the Bright World realm, or even the Creation realm before coming back? Moronu pondered in his heart. If he left just like that, he would definitely be unwilling. The more terrifying the treasure's power was, the more unwilling Moronu was to leave, and the more he wanted to obtain it. Moreover, what if a peerless powerhouse came right after he left? He would definitely regret it. What should I do? Moronu did not continue to sink, because there was no point in doing so. If there was no way or immediate breakthrough, he would not be able to continue to sink to a deeper depth. Breakthrough? The Chaos Furnace can devour the power of lightning to improve its realm. However, if it improves to the Bright World realm, I wonder how deep it can sink? I wonder if it can be like the Black Lightning Beast. I have a chaotic celestial body and can transform into any attribute. A thought suddenly flashed through Moronu's mind. Although the Black Lightning Beast could not be completely immune to the lightning, it could be partially immune. Moreover, the Black Lightning Beast could also use the power of the lightning to improve its combat power. If Moronu could transform his physical body into that of the Black Lightning Beast, then he would have a certain level of immunity to the lightning. At the same time, he could also improve his combat power here. Immunity coupled with an increase in combat strength allowed Moronu to go even further. Moreover, if this did not work, then Moronu could still take the opportunity to improve his strength. However, it would take a little longer. He only had 10 years. If he only wanted to improve to the Bright World realm, it would probably not be enough time. Because of this, he did not immediately improve his realm, but prepared to transform his physique. Chapter 1933. After reading the Black Lightning Beast's memories, Moronu naturally knew the Black Lightning Beast's method of tempering its body. In fact, the Black Lightning Beast did not have any special method of tempering its body. They had been imperceptibly tempered by these profound lightning bolts and then adapted to this place. However, as the only Creation Realm ferocious beast in Tianwu world, the Black Lightning Beast had some experience. With a thought, Moronu had already left the place. His speed was very fast, and he quickly reappeared on the ground. To temper one's body, one had to start from shallow to deep. If he were to temper his body in the deep, not only would he fail to achieve the goal of tempering his body, he would also be blasted into smithereens by the terrifying black lightning. After collecting the Hichu Luoshu and the weapon fragments, Moronu's body was directly exposed to the endless black lightning. Immediately, the endless black lightning drowned him. Bolts of profound lightning crazily surged into his body like a torrent. After thinking about the Creation Realm Black Lightning Beast tempering method, Yu began to temper his body. He first immersed his entire body in the black lightning and let the black lightning enter his flesh and bones. His entire body was bathed in the black lightning. He had to fuse his flesh and bones together like the profound lightning here. Only in this way could he borrow the power of the profound lightning. Yu was originally an expert in cultivating his body. He had a unique understanding of tempering his body. Combined with the creation realm black lightning beast method, Yu's entire body quickly became one with the black lightning. However, it was not enough to just become one. Just like the black lightning beasts outside the black lightning mountain range, their bodies had already become one with the black lightning. However, they did not dare to go deep into the black lightning mountain range. Why was that? There were different levels of black lightning and different levels of fusion. What Yu wanted to do was to completely transform his physique into a lightning physique so that he could travel freely in the black lightning. It was as if he could shuttle through all kinds of formations and restrictions at will. During this process, Yu began to sink gradually. The deeper they sank, the more terrifying the power of the profound lightning became. However, Yu's sinking speed was not fast. This was because he needed to temper his body while sinking. As Yu continued to sink, Yu's body was close to completely transforming into lightning under the increasingly terrifying impact of the profound lightning. At this moment, other than the primal chaos energy, his flesh and bones were filled with electricity. Upon closer inspection, every particle of his body was covered by lightning. In fact, from afar, every particle that made up his physical body looked like lightning. He was like a man made of lightning. He had completely converted his physique into a lightning physique. With a thought, the boundless chaotic energy in his body instantly turned into lightning. As a result, Yu turned into a ball of lightning. At the moment of the change, Yu felt a sense of intimacy from the surrounding lightning. There were even some profound bombs that were excitedly swarming towards him. They had already treated Yu as one of their own. Other than these changes, Yu even felt that he could already control the surrounding profound bombs. These profound bombs would become his strength. As long as he wanted, these profound bombs would attack his enemies violently. My body has completely merged with the profound bombs. It's even more powerful than the profound lightning beasts in the creation realm. Moreover, the profound lightning beasts can only temporarily use these profound bombs to raise their cultivation by a small level. My strength has increased by at least 2 small levels. Yu thought to himself with a smile on his face. At the same time, his body suddenly sank. He had already turned into a stream of light and was sinking rapidly. There was no resistance, nor was there any attack from the profound bombs. Hence, Yu's speed was extremely fast. In less than 2 hours, he had already reached the extreme place that he had been to before. After reaching this place, Yu only felt a slight pressure. Hence, he continued to sink. The deeper he sank, the greater the pressure. Although he had already merged with the profound bombs, his essence was not the same as the lightning here. They were not the same as the real thing. Hence, the lightning had always been repelling him. 10 days later, Yu did not know how deep he had sunk. Had he reached the center of the origin star in Tianwu world? At this moment, a round ball finally appeared in front of Yu. To be precise, it was a lightning ball, a lightning bead that emitted boundless lightning. This lightning bead was not big. It was only the size of a fist. However, it seemed like it could nurture lightning. Streaks of lightning were constantly emitted from the lightning bead. Then, they dissipated in all directions. Finally, they formed the profound lightning mountain range, an extremely huge, profound lightning world. The profound lightning mountain range was created by this small lightning bead. Looking at the lightning bead, Yu's eyes were filled with shock. This is the profound lightning bead. While Yu was shocked, Hichu's surprised voice rang in his mind. You know, Yu hurriedly asked. Hichu's memory was very strong. He knew almost everything. However, To be able to make Hichu so surprised, it must be a treasure. That's a treasure of the supreme level. If it was not damaged, not to mention the profound lightning mountain range, even the entire Timu world would only be the tip of the iceberg. A complete profound lightning bead can at least cover the entire solar system. Furthermore, some higher-grade profound lightning beads are even more terrifying. I wonder what grade this profound lightning bead is. The profound lightning bead can cover the entire solar system? Moronyu muttered to himself and repeated Hichu's words. He was completely stunned. How big was the solar system? Moronyu still did not have an idea. However, it was definitely extremely huge. The profound lightning bead could actually cover it. How terrifying was that? It far surpassed the creation realm. No, a creation realm origin tool was like a firefly in front of the profound lightning bead. It was definitely a lightning-type treasure. However, this profound lightning bead was damaged. Was it damaged? Moronyu could not help but feel depressed. Why were all the things he obtained damaged? The weapon fragments were the same. Although Hichu, Luoshu, and the others were complete, they were unable to display their strongest power. They were also damaged. Looking carefully, Moronyu indeed discovered that the profound lightning bead was covered with densely packed cracks like a spider web. These cracks were definitely not caused by the profound lightning bead. Then, there was only one possibility. It was damaged by someone else. Then, who was it that damaged the profound lightning bead? Such a powerful, profound lightning bead was almost destroyed. What level of strength did that person have? That level of existence. With just a glare, the sun would be annihilated. Hichu, how do we take this profound lightning bead? Moronyu asked excitedly. Even if this profound thunder bead was damaged and incomplete, it still had extremely terrifying power. Moreover, it might even be repaired in the future. The most basic method is to drip blood on it to recognize its owner. This profound lightning bead is damaged to such an extent. I'm afraid its previous owner has already died. You can give it a try, Hichu said helplessly. Moronyu nodded. Then, he walked over with the Hichu Luoshu and the weapon fragments. Although he had already become one with the profound lightning here, these profound lightning were too terrifying. If he was not careful, he would be shocked to death. Therefore, he had already taken out all kinds of treasures. Moronyu stretched out his hand and slowly grabbed the profound lightning bead. During this process, his entire heart was in his mouth. Moreover, during this process, he was already prepared to enter Hichu, Luoshu, and teleport at any time. However, the resistance that he imagined did not appear at all. Moronyu easily came into contact with the profound thunder bead. Moronyu's face revealed a look of surprise. He was not surprised by the profound lightning bead's docility. Instead, he felt a familiar aura from the profound lightning bead. It was familiar. After leaving the holy world, he had not made any friends. Therefore, this familiar aura definitely did not belong to someone from the endless starry sky. It was also not his enemy. His enemy did not have the ability to reach here. If even his enemy could not reach here, then it was even more impossible for his friends and family to reach here. In that case, whose aura did he feel so familiar with belong to? Moronyu paused and began to search through his memories. Suddenly, Moronyu's eyes exploded with two terrifying rays of light. He finally knew who this familiar aura belonged to. The Seamless Downlord. This was because he had not really come into contact with the Seamless Downlord. He had only met the Seamless Downlord's power clone once. Therefore, he could not remember it at the moment. However, he was now 100% sure that this aura belonged to the Seamless Downlord. The Seamless Downlord's aura was actually on the profound lightning bead. Who was the Seamless Downlord? Moronyu's face revealed a look of suspicion. He was deeply shocked. The Seamless Downlord was one of the 10 great sacred lands of the human race in the holy world. However, Moronyu had never seen the Seamless Downlord himself. Moreover, the previous disciples of the Seamless Downlord were not even in the holy world. Moronyu only had 17 senior brothers and sisters. It was as if the others did not even exist. Back in the Holy World, there were rumors that the seamless Tao Lord had already died. However, Moron Yu and the others did not believe it. In the end, Yu Yangjiao left to search for the seamless Tao Lord. However, he disappeared in the end. Even after Moron Yu gained complete control of the Holy World, he did not find any traces of the seamless Tao Lord. At that time, Moron Yu vaguely felt that the seamless Tao Lord was not as simple as a mere honorable. He might have come from another origin star and was definitely stronger than the World Lord. At that time, Moron Yu guessed that the seamless Tao Lord might be a rebirth realm expert or a chaotic void realm expert. At the very most, he would only surpass the bright world realm. However, all of this was now overturned. Chapter 1934. This mysterious thunder bead was definitely in existence far beyond the creation realm. However, there was the aura of the Seamless Society's Tao Master on it. Could it be that the Seamless Society's Tao Master was the previous owner of this mysterious thunder bead? If that was the case, then what was the identity of the Seamless Society's Tao Master? How powerful was he? If he really was such a supreme existence, then why did he appear in the Holy World? Could he be the same as heaven, plotting against me? This thought suddenly appeared in Moron Yu's mind. It wasn't that he doubted the Seamless Society's Tao Master, but after facing heaven, he was afraid. Moreover, how similar was the existence of the Seamless Society's Tao Master to heaven? However, Moron Yu faintly believed that the Seamless Society's Tao Master was definitely not like heaven. There was no reason, it was just a kind of intuition. With his current ability to deduce heaven's secrets, his intuition was usually very accurate. However, who was the Seamless Society's Tao Master? Did he die? Otherwise, how could such a powerful treasure be almost destroyed by someone else? Thinking of the Seamless Society's Tao Master, Moron Yu thought of the little lowly Ruo Yun. This little lowly was definitely someone from the endless starry sky, and her background was definitely terrifying. However, what was her relationship with the Seamless Society's Tao Master? The more he thought about it, the more confusing it became. Moron Yu suddenly felt the palm of his hand that was touching the mysterious thunder bead suddenly become hot. The heat pulled back his thoughts that had drifted to who knows where. With a glance, Moron Yu discovered that everything around him had disappeared without a trace. The mysterious thunder bead that he had touched had also disappeared. Moron Yu was shocked, but in the next moment, he was scared half to death. The mysterious thunder bead had automatically recognized him as its master and entered his body. A treasure automatically recognizing its master. This was originally a good thing. However, this mysterious thunder bead had some relationship with the Seamless Society's Tao Master, which made Moron Yu feel uneasy. However, in other words, the mysterious thunder bead recognized Moron Yu as its master because of his relationship with the Seamless Society's Tao Master. Who cares? Moron Yu quickly calmed down, because at this moment, a large amount of information had already been transmitted into his mind from the Black Thunder Bead. It was only about the introduction of the Black Thunder Bead and its abilities. Who was the previous owner of the Black Thunder Bead, and how it was almost destroyed? He didn't know any of this. Memory loss? Although Moron Yu felt somewhat disappointed, he still wanted to know the identity and safety of the Seamless Society's Tao Master. However, now that he didn't know, there was nothing he could do. However, he knew that the situation of the mysterious Thunder Pearl was indeed not good. Previously, Moron Yu knew from the Profound Thunder Beast that the Profound Thunder Bead would weaken after a period of time. In fact, this is completely wrong. The time when the Profound Thunder Beast thought it was weak was precisely the time when the Profound Thunder Bead could slightly control itself. The rest of the time was when he was weak. Why was that? If it was a perfect Profound Thunder Bead, it could completely control its own profound thunder and not let it leak out. This was because although the Profound Thunder Bead could produce lightning by itself, that was when it was in a perfect state. When it was damaged, the profound thunder it produced was greatly weakened and couldn't be compared to the profound thunder that leaked out. It could even be said that the profound thunder that leaked out over the years was the profound thunder bead's old capital. According to this situation, the profound thunder bead could only last for another 10,000 years at most. After 10,000 years, if it couldn't be improved, it would completely collapse and turn into a pile of dust. The weak period that the profound thunder beast thought of was actually the time when the profound thunder bead could slightly control the profound thunder to not leak out. However, it was too heavily injured and couldn't completely control the profound thunder from leaking out. Moreover, the time it could control it was too short. While Muronyu was depressed, he also felt a wave of luck. If he hadn't joined the solar sect, he wouldn't have come to collect the Sunflame magical fruit. If he hadn't come here, how could he have obtained such a heaven-defying treasure like the profound thunder bead? He even knew some information about the Seamless Society's Tao Master. However, under the situation of recognizing a master, the profound thunder bead prevented the profound thunder from continuing to leak out. However, if he wanted to repair it, he would need to devour large amounts of lightning energy. In addition, Muronyu also knew that the profound thunder bead wasn't originally here. Before coming to the Tianwu world, it had been floating in the endless starry sky for an unknown amount of time. In other words, the Seamless Society's Tao Master had been injured a long, long time ago. Even the profound thunder bead was almost destroyed, and he had even lost it. Wasn't he still injured? After sensing the profound thunder bead's current profound thunder power, Murongyu's face revealed a smile. Originally, he was only in the chaotic void realm. Although his battle strength was comparable to that of a half-step to the manifestation realm. If he encountered someone in the manifestation realm, he would still be no match for them. However, although there wasn't much profound thunder left in the profound thunder bead, it could still explode once or twice. The explosive power could definitely kill an ordinary manifestation realm expert. Now that he had a trump card in hand, Muronyu had nothing to fear even if he was in the solar sect. Who would dare to touch him? He would directly take out the profound thunder bead and kill them. So what if they were in the manifestation realm? After familiarizing himself with the profound thunder bead, he threw it into his body to nourish it. Now, he had obtained the profound thunder bead and killed the 6 ancestors. The solar sect's mission was also completed. It was time to return to the sect. Yi Tian, you didn't expect that not only did I complete the mission, but I also obtained a supreme treasure, right? If you were to find out, would you be angered to death? Muronyu sneered. He revealed a strong killing intent towards Yi Tian, whom he had yet to meet. Ever since Yi Tian interfered with him, Yi Tian had already entered Murongyu's kill list. Unfortunately, this guy didn't even chase after him. Otherwise, Muronyu would have already killed him. If they were in the solar sect, Muronyu wouldn't have been able to kill him. However, he could only passively endure Yi Tian's attacks. This couldn't be helped. Yi Tian was quite powerful among the inner sect disciples, and he was just a newly promoted outer sect disciple. What power could contend with him? First, I'll go back and submit the mission. Then, I'll see if there's a suitable place for cultivation or a lightning world. If Yi Tian dares to blabber again, I'll just kill him. Muronyu sneered in his heart. In a flash, he appeared in Heaven Marshal City. Before he came, he directly teleported here. However, he didn't plan to teleport back. Wouldn't they find another opportunity to deal with him? Therefore, Muronyu kept teleporting back and forth between the various origin planets. It had been almost a year since he returned to the solar star. In other words, a round trip would take almost 2 missions. The mission time was only 10 years. He only had 8 years to complete the mission. Of course, this was the result of Yi Tian purposely making things difficult for Muronyu. Ordinary outer sect disciples' first mission was near the solar star. 10 years was more than enough. Mission Hall. Muronyu directly submitted the mission. What? You completed the mission to pick the Flaming Sun magical fruit? The disciple in the mission hall was shocked. He looked at Muronyu in disbelief. Murongyu's face darkened. Why? I can't complete it? Hee, it's not that you can't complete it. It's just that the authenticity of the mission is debatable. However, it doesn't matter. Even if you got the Flaming Sun magical fruit from somewhere else, you've completed the mission. However, I don't know about this Flaming Sun magical fruit. Therefore, I'll need the elder who issued the mission to appraise it. The disciple in the mission hall sneered. He naturally knew what level this mission was. He didn't believe that Murong-yu had the ability to complete it. He guessed that Murong-yu must have used some unknown method to get a Flaming Sun magical fruit to make up the numbers. Looking at the other party's disdainful eyes, Murong-yu calmed down. He couldn't be bothered to deal with this kind of snobbish trash. How long will it take? My time is precious, he said calmly. It won't take too long. You can wait inside. The disciple in the mission hall sneered. He led Murong-yu into a room at the back and left. Of course, there was no way Murong-yu was going to give him the Flaming Sun fruit. If this fellow decided to swap it out, Murong-yu would be in deep trouble. What? Murong-yu has returned and is handing the mission? Did I hear wrongly? In the beginning, no one noticed Murong-yu. After all, although he had caused a sensation a few years ago, he was just an outer sect disciple. How many people knew him? However, when Murong-yu handed in the mission, there happened to be a disciple who was also here back then. Therefore, he told Murong-yu about what happened back then. Immediately, everyone in the hall was stunned. I wonder if he really completed the mission? It's a miracle that a level 9 chaotic void realm cultivator completed a half-step to creation realm mission. Don't you think he has a big shot behind him to help him? Someone said disdainfully. Someone immediately scolded disdainfully. Idiot! If Murong-yu has a creation realm cultivator behind him, why would his entry mission be a half-step to creation realm mission? Maybe he just wants to deceive us. He didn't actually complete the mission? Someone said suspiciously. There are all kinds of guesses. However, there was no doubt that Murong-yu's return caused a sensation in the hall again. If Murong-yu had really completed the mission, it wouldn't be as simple as causing a sensation in the mission hall. After all, how many people in the world could complete a half-step to creation realm mission when they were in the chaotic void realm? It was not wrong to say that no one had done it before. You are Murong-yu? How did you complete the mission? Tell me everything that happened that day. Not long after, the disciple who had left the mission hall brought 3 people into Murong-yu's room. These 3 people should be the higher-ups of the mission hall. However, they questioned Murong-yu coldly, as if they were interrogating a criminal. This made him very unhappy. When I went to the Black Thunder Mountain Range, I happened to see the 6 great ancestors of the sky martial world fighting with the Black Thunder Beast guarding the Flaming Sun Wonder Fruit. In the end, both sides perished together. I just happened to benefit from it and completed the mission, Murong-yu said calmly. This was the reason he had thought of on the way here. They didn't believe him? Then they would go and verify it. However, the 6 great ancestors and the Black Thunder Beast were already dead. The dead told no tales. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.